All righty, all right. There we go. What's up, Miriam? DeTires, Deborah Stevens. Good to see everybody. Oof. Ooh, excuse me. My goodness. What's up, Canoes? What's going on, man? High fives, brother. Hand slapping going on. Damn it, Donald. What happened to go? What was he doing? All right. Well, anyway, whatever he was doing, fuck that dude. And away we go.
Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
All right, welcome to the Dan Bongino Show. Producer Joe, how are you today?
A-OK.
Another really stacked news day. Woke up this morning to a text. Hey, can you come on the air? There was another tragic shooting last night in California. Want to get to that. A couple things I want to mention. Also, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We have to listen. We're all people of faith. Many of us here. I hope she's okay. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice, took a bad fall this morning. Looks like she broke a few ribs. She's 85, so I mean it. I hope she's okay. So that just came on the news now. I've seen some really sad, dark, awful humor on Twitter. It's not funny. I'm serious. That's not funny. It's not the kind of stuff we mess around with, and it's not us. It's just a couple of idiots. But we'll get to that too. But a lot going on this morning before the show. Okay, let's get right into it. I also want to hit Jim Acosta yesterday, who humiliated himself in the media at the White House in one of the most embarrassing episodes I've ever seen in the history of air quotes journalism. Okay, today's show brought to you by our good friends at Saucy. You know, my wife and I like to have date nights on Friday or Saturday nights. It's important. It's great for our relationship, and once in a while there'll be maybe a cocktail involved or some adult sodas as I call them. Everyone at some point has wished they could just have a beer, wine, or liquor delivered. Well, someone finally has decided to do something about it. Introducing Saucy, the alcohol delivery app. Saucy delivers your favorite wine, beer, and liquor right to your door on demand. Now, if you're in Los Angeles, the Bay Area, Chicago, San Diego, or Sacramento, your Saucy order will arrive at your door in under 30 minutes, ready to drink. For the rest of us, Saucy will deliver beer, wine, and liquor to your door in 2 days or less nationwide. There are no minimum orders. There are no delivery fees and no running to the store. If you've got the Saucy app, you've got a fully stocked bar on your phone, and for a limited time, you can get $15 off. That's nice. When you download the Saucy app and enter promo code Dan. That's the Saucy app. Go download it, spelled S-A-U-C-E-Y. That's the Saucy app, and enter promo code Dan for $15 off. Get the Saucy app today and use promo code Dan. It's really easy to use, super efficient. Go check it out. Okay, folks, getting right into it. So there was a shooting last night in California at a bar in Thousand Oaks area, which is, I believe, a suburb of Los Angeles. I'm not intimately familiar with the area. I've got to be candid with you. And just a couple of things I wanted to address on this from a security perspective. Like I covered when we covered the disastrous synagogue shooting and the church shooting in Sutherland Springs. As a former Secret Service agent, I try to be somewhat helpful in these tragic situations and present to you the unique security challenges by these places in case you are a bar owner or a club owner and you're listening. In a church, one of the things I mentioned after the synagogue shooting, one of the unique security challenges in a church is that everybody's attention is forward towards an altar in a church or some kind of a podium where the priest, the rabbi, the imam, whatever it may be, is conducting a service. That lack of attention towards a door in the back presents a unique opportunity for bad guys to do their dirty deed. So that's why I say to people involved in the churches and synagogues, it's important that you have at least one, if not more, people with their eyes towards the back, focusing on those entry points. Now, when it comes to bars and clubs, like we saw in this incident last night, there are other unique security challenges that you need to pay attention to. Excuse me. Not just if you are a bar owner, but if you are a patron of one of these locations. I've been in bars. I met my wife on a blind date in a bar. Joe, with bars, typically, how many points of entry do they use in a bar?
Usually just
one, right?
One, yeah.
Yeah, one at the front door. And why would they do that? Because bars have a unique challenge. Whereas just about anybody can walk into a mall. I mean, you have teenagers, you have people who are seniors, you have middle-aged folks. Bars have restrictions because they serve alcohol. Right. They must control people. You typically have to be 18. You can be 18 and have a wristband on, so you can't drink, but you have to be 21 to drink, so they will card people. One of the unique challenges bars have is they have one entrance, or one entrance that they use. Now, having one entrance, unlike, say, a mall or a church or anywhere else, creates a problem because it creates a line. Typically, bars like these lines because it makes the bar look like it's a busy place. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It gives the appearance as it's kind of a hopping joint, and people want to be in there. The problem with one entrance is typically in a panic situation. These are the things you learn doing security for a living, the way I had done it before. In a panic-type situation like this was, with some maniac entering the bar and deciding to try to shoot the place up, people's first instinct will be to come out or leave or exit where they came in. It's instinct. It's not now. I'm not saying you're not going to feel. A lot of people, thankfully, figured out there was a back door to this location quickly and attempted to flee via the back door. I'm just telling you, in a panic situation, that's not going to come as your first instinct. Your first instinct is going to be to turn your attention to the shots where they're coming from, the noise, and secondly, to an escape route, which is typically where you came in, or so you thought. That creates a bottleneck of people. It also creates crowd density. Why? Because people flush in mass typically towards the door they came in. One of the worst examples of this that we saw was in the Rhode Island fire. Mm-hmm. Remember that, Joe? That horror. I mean, that story I could not get out of my head for months. There was a fire in Rhode Island. I forget the band that was playing. It was close to 10 years ago, I believe now. Mm-hmm. It was an 80s band, right? Yeah. And the fire, the Rhode Island bar caught fire. And there were multiple exits to the place that were not used. Everybody tried to pile out of the front door where they came in because that was their instinct. And literally, tragically, I mean, I don't even like to talk because then it never gets out of my head again. It was so disastrous. They piled on top of each other to fit through this little choke point of a door. Meanwhile, there were other exits that were just wide open. So the two takeaways from this horrific incident last night, that I have for you. Number one is if you're going to go to a bar, understand that works to a bad guy's advantage. Secondly, to turn the tables towards yourself, always have situational awareness. Terrain features, terrain features, terrain features. Keep in mind the terrain features. That's kind of a fancy law enforcement jargon way of saying, look at the terrain you're in at all times. If you're in a bar, know there is always going to be a back door somewhere. That back door is rarely going to be used by anybody else because people's instinct, right away, because people's instinct is going to be to go out where they came in. Know where that back door is at all times. Know where that back door is. It's critical. These are very simple things. Understand where the back door is. Folks, this takes all of 2 seconds of your life. That's why I always suggest in a restaurant, sit in a place where you can see the front door, who's coming in. It buys you just seconds. Seconds that could save your life. Those seconds will make an enormous difference in a situation like this where mass panic sets in. If you have a plan in advance, your instinct will be to follow the plan.
If they have a kitchen, usually there's a door in the kitchen, almost always.
Oh, yes. Joe knows these locations. Joe is a musician.
Right.
He's played them. You probably came in through the kitchen, right?
Yes, we did. In quite a few
Which
places.
is where we always brought our... That's actually a great point. We always brought our protectees in through the kitchen. Matter of fact, the kitchen staff, when I was with Obama and Bush on the Secret Service detail, used to always say, oh, man, we can't bring the president through here. This place is a mess. I don't mean dirty, but, there's people running around. I'd say, brother or sister in some cases, this is the only place we come in. There is nothing unusual about the president coming through your kitchen. Trust me. Joe's right, because there's always a back door. And why? Because they have trash to bring out, and they're not going to bring it out through the bar.
Right.
So they take it out through a back door. It's a great point. Well said. Always keep that in mind. Through the kitchen, there's always a door in the back. Keep that, and it's usually a crash bar, too. Meaning there's no key. It's usually a crash bar door because of fire codes, where you just push the crash bar and you get out. So just keep that in mind. That's important. It's the little things that matter. And one more thing. I was on Fox and Friends this morning, and I was offering some condolences, number one, and some, hopefully, some expertise to maybe prevent some of these casualties in the future. And I was asked a very common sense question, what can you do about this? And I made the point that, folks, I understand these are politically charged debates about firearms. I get it. I'm not trying to shove my ideology down your throat. I'm not. I am an avid, vocal, vigorous supporter of the right to self-defense and the right to defend yourself. If you believe otherwise, that's fine. We have a free country. There's a process to change that. I will fight against it, but I get it. I understand people's unfamiliarity with guns makes them scared of the gun in particular and not the person behind it. But I made a simple point today. Try to put aside the politics for just the 30 seconds to a minute it'll take me to say this. What suggestions do you have? If someone walks up to a bar, whether they procured the firearm legally or illegally, and is intent on shooting and killing people, I'm asking you a common sense question. What are you going to do? What? I'm not messing around. Why do you think we protect the President of the United States? Famous sports people, celebrities. All of these people are protected with firearms. A simple question. Why do you think that is? If they are so ineffective as a self-defense mechanism, because you cannot make firearms disappear from the planet. They are constructed from steel. They will be around a very long time and will only grow increasingly more sophisticated. You cannot make that happen. There are bad people, and evil has been in the stain in man's hearts since we first became sentient beings and became self-aware. Evil is not going anywhere, and neither are these firearms. What are you going to do? Do you want the right to defend yourself or not? I'm asking you a serious question. They are not going anywhere. There's no such thing as gun control. Guns have not been controlled since the firearm and gunpowder was invented. They have not. Do you want to defend yourself or not? It is a simple question. And if you don't want to defend yourself, why are you attacking my ability to defend me and my family? I am not going out like that. I'm sorry. I've got 2 kids and a wife I love very much. I carry a firearm in the state of Florida where you're free to defend yourself. And I'm proud to say that. I'm just asking you a simple question. Look in the mirror. You don't have to answer it to your friends. If publicly you need to save face, to say something else, do whatever you need to do. But I want you in your own time, when you sit down, to ask yourself, what are you going to do if tragically and sadly faced at some point in your life with the 1,000-yard stare, an evil murderer in front of you with a firearm? What are you going to do? Try to talk him out of it? Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't the Matrix, man. This is real. Apparently, the guy at the front door, from what we know, this sergeant who, God rest this hero's soul, lost his life, and the others as well. From what I'm hearing in the press reports, and if it changes, I'll be sure to let you know, was unarmed. What are you going to do? You only have one option. An evil person with a firearm will only be stopped by another person willing to engage with a firearm. There is no other way. These articles and stuff people put out about pepper spray and mace and other things are, ladies and gentlemen, these are absurd. These are absurd. Even a pistol has an effective range of about 25 yards. pepper spray on a good day, besides the fact that you'll pepper everyone else around you, probably 5 yards if you're lucky. Not to mention a guy hyped up on adrenaline or even drugs himself probably won't even respond for about 30 seconds.
You know, Dan, as long as there's been firearms, there's been a black market for them as well.
Every time.
Every time.
There's nothing you're going to do. I remember being a police officer, arresting people with the NYPD for CPW and as a federal agent as well. CPW, criminal possession of a weapon.
Yep.
And saying, how did you get the firearm? They, folks, I'm not kidding. They would laugh. Like, what do you mean, how did you? You buy it from Johnny on the corner. Like, you get anything? You get anything else? You know, I was genuinely interested. I wasn't trying to conduct a sociological survey, and I mean it. I wasn't even being political at the time. I wasn't even that political when I was a young man as a cop. I mean, I started to become so later on. But you'd ask them in the cells. You'd say, you know, how did you get that? What do you mean, how did I get it? I bought it from, you know, whatever, this guy in the corner, Tony or something. Like it was hard. They would look at you like you were nuts.
Right.
Almost like embarrassed you were a cop and you couldn't figure this out. It's not hard, folks. The black market for firearms is always been a big one. Always. They are not hard to find. And pretending otherwise is, it's just, I'm sorry, is self-defeating and silly. You just don't know what you're talking about. When you actually work the streets as a police officer and a federal agent, you see how easy this stuff is to gain a hold of. All right.
Yeah.
So, this morning again. Enough on that. But I hope some of that helps. If you are a bar owner, just let me sum that up. You need that to be wary of that choke point, that front door. You have people lined up outside. You have people inside who are going to try to flee out of that location. Make sure, obviously, according to code, your exits are lit. Make sure if you have people inside and the outside, make sure you have someone who's armed. I'm sorry, it's just common sense. It's not a political. It's a security issue. We don't talk this kind of stuff when it comes to presidential security. Nobody says, well, let's disarm the Secret Service. You know, it's interesting how the politics of the gun debate never enter it when the president and some, dignitaries involved, as they shouldn't, because people are serious about it. If you walked in a room with a bunch of security professionals saying, I've got an idea for security, we're going to make everything safer by disarming the Secret Service so we have less guns around. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not even going to say you'd be laughed out. They would seriously seek to have you, evaluated. Yeah. What, are you insane? Are you crazy? But when it comes to your kids in a bar or your kids in a school, all of a sudden the politics enter. Oh, no, less guns, not more guns. But you notice when it comes to, quote, important people, nobody says that. As if your kids aren't important enough. Really shameful. All right, as I said this morning, it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah, thanks, man. Ruth Bader Ginsburg took a bad fall. Well, if I hear anything else on that, apparently she's been hospitalized. So, that at 85, that's serious, especially breaking ribs, because I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be, but having broken ribs myself, it is extremely painful, and you run the risk of pneumonia, as a doctor told me one time. There was a guy I was wrestling in a Matt Serra's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class in East Meadow one time. This guy called the Big Tuna. Yeah, he was about 400 pounds, and he was a bouncer in a bar, and he fell on me one time while I was trying to pull guard, and I went to the doctor. By the way, I'm not in any way trying to please. I'm just trying to tell you how I got to this story with the broken ribs. I went to the doctor, and this is a true story. The doctor says to me, no, I got in a car accident. 2 days later? I got into a car accident on an icy road on the Long Island Expressway. And I got taken by ambulance to the hospital. And I'm in the hospital, and the doctor says, I wasn't in a lot of pain, but my chest hurt. And he said, I have good news and bad news. I said, well, no, give me the bad news. He goes, you have a couple broken ribs. They look pretty badly, fractured. And but they weren't broken in half. They were stress fractures. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, what's the good news? He says, the good news is they look like they were broken a couple days ago or something. I said, how'd you know that? And he was talking about some scarring or something like that. And I figured out it was the Big Tuna who had fallen on me and broken my ribs. It was the car accident, it made it worse. So it was painful. But I hope she's okay. I hope she does fine. We'll see. And I'll keep you updated on that story as well. All right, getting into some more breaking news. I got really a ton to talk about today. I got about 20 things on my list here. I don't know what the media thinks they're doing. The Acosta thing yesterday. Now, again, this is one of those stories. Joe sent it to me this morning. The sound I saw it yesterday. Jim Acosta. For those of you who missed it, CNN fake news reporter who was at the White House briefing yesterday, where President Trump came out to answer a record number of questions. I believe he took 68 questions. He was there an hour and a half. I was getting a haircut. I went home, took a shower, got out of the shower, started doing prep for my NRA TV show, and the press conference was still going on. I'm not even kidding. So, all those things about, President Trump's an enemy of the media. Really? Because he seems to answer more of your questions than anybody else does. So Acosta gets up at the White House and just humiliates himself and the media. Here is audio of the exchange between CNN's Jim Acosta and President Donald Trump.
They're hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was
enough.
going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt.
Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either, so
I understand.
To be honest.
So let me ask you a question, if I can. You repeatedly said
you aren't the best,
Mr. President. You repeatedly, over the course of
just sit down, please. When you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Oh, my gosh. And then you have that, what is it, Peter Alexander? Was it the NBC guy who gets up next and just beclowns himself as well? I got a couple of takeaways. And these are always topics, as Joe knows. I'm always hesitant to bring these up because they sound almost clickbaity. And Joe and I are very diligent about, in this show, not wasting your time. I have an hour with you. You have been gracious and kind enough to spend with me. I do not waste your time on, outrage. Jim Acosta, there are takeaways from this, though. That's the reason I'm bringing this up today. There are actual takeaways from this that I believe are relevant. The first one. Folks, I spent 4.5 years in the White House. These press conferences, these pressers, these press avails, I'm intimately familiar with how they work. I've never seen anything like this. Listen to me, and listen to what I'm about to tell you. This is the President of the United States. Show some freaking respect. You don't have to like this man. That's the greatest part of our country and our Bill of Rights and our constitutional republic. You have no fear of death, doom, or destruction because you speak out publicly against the president. Unless you're, of course, Donald Trump and you run against Obama and they spy on you. But that aside, speaking out against Donald Trump involves with you no fear of harm. Thank God. Unless you're Tucker Carlson, of course, and you speak out for the minute, and Antifa shows up here. But again, putting the conservatives and libertarians aside, if you're a Democrat or a liberal, or anyone who speaks out against Trump, I can assure you, you run almost no risk at all of any recrimination at all. Thank God. And I mean that. But this is the President of the United States. When I wrote my first book, I was very careful in my book and was very actually laudatory and honored, because this is what upsets me. Not to make this, it's not about me, but I want to make a point here. I was very upset after my first book that people categorize it as some kind of a tell-all against Obama. That's absurd. Just read the book.
Yeah.
It's not a tell-all at all. There's nothing telling all. It's my story of the Secret Service. There's no inside conversations in there. People who tell you are just making it up. Folks, you can read the book. It's out there now. I'm not trying to sell books. I'm just trying to make a point here. I was present at Barack Obama's inauguration, the first one, and I write about it in the book in detail. But the way I write about it is key. Because I'll tell you, folks, although I understood that ideologically we had been defeated, I knew Barack Obama was big trouble on the liberal side. I understood his ability to tell a story. His charismatic nature was going to be trouble, and I was right. We had tax hikes, Obamacare. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're listening to the wrong show if you think what I wrote in the book was nonsense. I did say I was honored to be there, and I'll tell you why. even though I knew we lost and were in big trouble. This was the United States of America. And I was there as, 250,000, hundreds of thousands of people, a large portion of them black Americans who had lived through Jim Crow. I was there and I watched them. I walked down Pennsylvania Avenue. Was I in Zone 7? I was there. I got there at 2 in the morning and stayed till probably 7 o'clock. I was there almost 24 hours. Geeked up on caffeine. I watched people in tears. 80-year-old black men and black women in the freezing cold. It was cold. Cold. Standing there for 8-9 hours. Some of them in tears, waving to the first black president of the United States of America. People who had lived through segregated lunch counters. People who had lived through Jim Crow in the South. How do I know? Because I talked to a lot of them. No one's going to tell me what happened and didn't. You know, when I saw it, it meant a lot to me, even though I knew we had lost. He was the president, and he won fair and square. And we went back, and we won 8 years later. That's how the republic works. And we dialed back a lot of the legislative nonsense that we had to put up with. But I was proud to be there. I felt a sense of dignity, even though I'd lost. And I wrote about that, and I wrote about it in intricate detail because it meant a lot to me to have been there for this historic moment. If Jim Acosta or any of Peter Alexander or any of these other guys are listening, that's the president of the United States. Contrary to your Looney Tunes conspiracy theories, he won this election fair and square, and you owe the man some damn respect. I thought at one point, Joe, as I was actually listening to it on the app on my phone, I thought at one point, the president should stop this right now. He should look this guy right in the eye and say, Jim, I am the president of the United States. I am here to defend. I swore to defend the Constitution. I swore to defend the free press. What I did not do as a human being is swear to stand up here and take your insults. I am the president of the United States. I won this election fair and square. I have come out here for you, not for me. I know the answers to these questions because it's me. I came out here for you, and you don't have the decorum and the dignity for 5 minutes to sit there and answer a question respectfully, give a follow-up, and sit down. That's the rules of the road. I've done tons of these things, Joe. The way it works, you ask a question, you get a follow-up, maybe you get to probe a bit, and you sit the hell down. You don't get the right to take over the press conference for everyone else. This is not a one-on-one. It's a one-on-one. You want to continue probing? Do your thing. The president, Bill O'Reilly, did it with Barack Obama. I was fine with it. Barack Obama agreed during the Super Bowl to sit down in an interview with Fox News' at the time, Bill O'Reilly. O'Reilly was aggressive. I had no problem with that at all. Obama agreed to do it. This was not a one-on-one. This was the White House press corps, or corpse, as Obama would say. This is their press corps. There were other people there. You don't have the right to monopolize America's attention, Jim. It's the president of the United States. It's not your buddy. It's not the librarian. It's not your school teacher. It's not your mama. It's not your buddy, your best friend, your drinking pal. It's the president of the United States. And the fact that you don't like him doesn't mean squat to me or anyone else. You're there to report the facts. You're not there to give your opinion on how you dislike the president or you disagree with his terminology. That was a disgrace. And I made myself heard on Twitter about it. And again, you get these and I respect this guy. I'm not trying to take a cheap shot, but
right.
I mean it. People disagree with me all the time. Some of them are just jerks and I just ignore them. But some are smart guys. But Jonah Goldberg from the National Review. What did he say? Tweeted back to me something like, what, Dan? I mean, what did he say? Like, what is he, an enemy of the people now or something like that? Like, it defends, fine, fine, Jonah. I thought I blocked this idiot, and then I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Let him say what he wants to say. I don't care. You're defending that? You're defending that. You're defending what happened yesterday. Are you letting your anger at Trump, color common sense? What happened yesterday was a disgrace. A disgrace. An embarrassing episode. Goes out and takes 68 questions. And what I said last night on Fox, I meant. That was not a question session. That was an interrogation. And what they wanted was a confession. The questions, basically, are you a racist, President Trump? You have referenced nationalism. Are you going to fire Mueller? Basically, did you obstruct justice? Those weren't questions. What a disgraceful episode. And making it even worse, this young White House intern, this female comes to get the female White House intern comes to get the mic from Acosta, and Acosta puts his hands on her. And people like Jonah are shocking. Again, I respect Jonah. He's a very smart guy. Even though we have significant disagreements about the administration, that's fine. I'm not going to attack the guy's intellect. He's a very smart guy. I've listened to podcasts he's done, and they're very good. But denying the fact that Acosta put his hands on her as she was approaching to grab the mic, which she was. I'm not suggesting it was an attack, Joe. It was some Karate Kid 3 move. I'm not suggesting it was violent. But denying that he made physical contact with her in an effort to keep the microphone is just watch the video.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, Joe, am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy.
I get it. Me and Joe are conservatives. We have a viewpoint, but we're not dumb. I'm not going to lie to you on my show. Jeff Mason from Reuters tweets out, "This is not how it happened, Sarah Sanders," alleging there was some physical contact. It is. Did you miss the video? You don't do that. This is a young intern at the White House. She comes to grab the microphone from you. Just give the microphone up. You were given multiple opportunities. Your chance is up. It's not a one-on-one. How grotesquely inappropriate. Now, having said that, after that, Joe, what happens? Good for the White House. They revoke Acosta's press credentials.
Yes,
good.
Yep.
Good. See ya. Bye, Felicia. Don't care one bit. There are they attack on the press. Get the hell out of here. CNN has 50,000 people you can put in. No one's shutting down the press. Give me a break. This guy's the most open president with the press in American history, bar none. He answers questions when he goes to the Hilo on the South Grounds, when he goes to Marine One. He answers questions on AF1. He answers questions at press conferences. He answers questions in pressers in the Roosevelt Room. He answers questions in the Oval. The guy answers questions all day. Let's stop with the hyperbolic martyrdom. Oh, man, the press is under attack. Give it a rest, you Looney Tunes. This is nonsense. You're making a humiliating embarrassment out of yourselves. The press is not under attack. Been calling a guy a fascist, a Nazi, and a Russian traitor for the last 2 years. We're all supposed to sit back and take it? Shut up. Give us all a break, huh? There's 1,000 reporters you can put in there who won't put their hands on the White House interns. Then, of course, Acosta, Joe, has to film his White House pass being taken away by the Secret Service Uniform Division officer. Because Acosta, Joe's good at one thing. He's breaking stories about what? Acosta.
Yeah,
Acosta's a reporter who only seems to break news, Joe, about Acosta. It's all he does. Whenever he breaks news, it's usually fake. But when it's Acosta stories, he's all over it. I had one. What was I going to say? Well, I had one more note, but honestly, folks, I can't even read my own handwriting. So I'm serious. I always say I write like a doctor. I wish I thought like one. Everything would be okay. I can't even read this note. But there you go. Those are the takeaways from that. This is not an attack on the press. This is unprecedented access. Acosta was grossly inappropriate and did make physical contact with the White House intern. And Acosta has this ability to flout the rules and then pretend like Donald Trump is the renegade here. Give us all a break. All right, folks. Today's show also brought to you by our buddies at Man Crates. Hey, let me tell you something. If you are looking for a gift, any kind of a gift, a birthday, and
yeah, we're not doing that either. Is that what Ghost was doing? He was putting in like fucking trying to hack the remote host? Dude, I fucking hate hackers, dude. To me, they're like thieves, man. They break into your shit where they're not fucking invited, and they do shit they ain't invited. I don't like them. I don't like hackers. I wish we had more working up for our side, but I still hate them. Seems like all the tech kids are on the loony left our side. God damn it. All right. My clippers are gone. Someone is going to pay for this. No, it wasn't a wine glass. I was digging around in my little ditty box, man. My nail clippers are missing. Someone must be beaten and flayed and drugged behind my horse. Wait, I don't even have a horse. I will take their money and go buy a horse and then drag them behind it. For removing my nail clippers. It's probably Pops. You're probably right. That fucker's broke. I'm not going to be able to buy a horse. God damn it. Yeah, well. What are you going to do? All right. Ghost proven. That's it, Donald. You got it. It was the fucking ghost. Thank you, Donald, for rescuing me from not noticing the ghost. Son of a bitch, Tanya. We are good. We need to get Donald Martino on our team. You work on it. You invite him over. You're shorter than me. He'll listen to you. That's right. We need him on the Ghost Provers team. Did you see that? He's a natural, man. On the other hand, Aaron, you did hear wine because I just poured another glass. Me and Pops decided to go with wine tonight, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through a half gallon. Holy shit. I've been working on that motherfucker diligently. That's the only way I can explain that is diligence. Yeah. Yes, Tanya is a sugar girl. She's a superhuman being. She is a wonderful person. And I'm glad to know her, and I am richer for having her in my company. Cheers, Tanya. And cheers, Deborah. Makes me royalty? Well, my name does in fact mean little king, my friend. In the land where you come from, you see. Yeah, right? Ryan, my name is. The great Celtic name for the little king. Although I'm not all that little, I don't know why they picked that one for me. Maybe it's because my kingdom is small. My kingdom is small, but we are strong. My kingdom is small, but we will kick your ass if you fuck with us. We will make sure that toe never functions properly again. You motherfucker, you. That's right, buddy. Me and your toe. Bring it on. Gun motto in war or peace. That's right, man. Pat, scan up. Jesus Christ, Deborah said when she was born she was dipped in sugar. Yeah. She probably was. She's awesome. Tanya's cool. She likes cars, for fuck's sake, like racing cars. And she hangs them on her walls and shit. She's got a tiger living in her apartment. Tanya rocks, man. Anybody don't like Tanya is just goofy. That's all there is to that. Pretty much the same for most of us in here. Yeah, and she beats up ghosts. Are you kidding me? How do you fucking not like Tanya Sharma and Raj? Raj is awesome. Even if you don't like Tanya so much, Raj is on point. So that's, that's the way I'm taking it. Yeah, Deborah's got a real tiger. Little itty bitty motherfucker. Weighs about 6 pounds and will fillet every piece of skin off your hand in about 2.2 seconds if you get out of line. No, not ghost bullies. Jesus Christ, dude. We don't bully ghosts. We prove them. God. £9 pounds. There you go. Well, that shit, she's fucking practically dangerous. You don't want to tangle in a sleeping bag with that, I'll tell you. Turn that loose in a pup tent, you got a fucking handful, buddy, I'll tell you what. Holy shit. What am I doing? Holy fuck, what am I doing? I think I did something stupid. I did.
But a Democrat, Doug Jones, giving him a gift experience unlike any other. Doing a really good job on immigration.
I had that thing running the whole time. I just had the sound off and didn't realize I was running my mouth too long. I had to fix it. That's all right. I like talking to you guys. I like talking to you guys better than listening to Dan Bongino, so that's something, right? We're smarter than all them guys anyway, ain't we? Of course we are. No, really, we fucking rock. You know, the 100 or so people that are subscribed to my channel and were subscribed to Sick Pat. These are top notch people, man. You know, we don't pat ourselves on the back quite enough, but literally, like, we're the ones that realize, we're the ones that are smart enough to see how fucking retarded the other people really are. And I don't know, maybe it's rude to point that out or whatever, but I'm just saying we are the guy. Dan is recorded, Pat is live. Oh, I see. Yeah, you vote Pat live any day. Right on. Yeah, I'm an actual person, and I'm actually talking. And I don't have diodes or any of that shit. I'm not an artificial intelligence. I'm an actual intelligence. Tucker Carlson is probably on tonight. I can't say with 100% certainty because someone could sneak up and shoot him. Who knows? But other than that, he's probably on tonight. I don't rule out anything. Antifa's out there lurking about, you know. There might be a fucking hit on fucking Tucker Carlson through Antifa. Holy shit. Can you imagine an Antifa hit? Okay, guys, what I want you to do, okay, is go down there and walk over there with your guns and then shoot him. Now, I know it's a long way. Oh, my God. So there's like a Starbucks on the way. You can stop and have a coffee. Like, it's only a block. You can make it there, I think. But if you get lost, you have an iPhone. On your iPhone, you can make rescue if you get lost in a block. Robot voice show. 3 Antifa balaclavas. Right on, man. Claim them bitches like scalps. You should hang them outside of your lodge. Nail them to the totem outside of your lodge, man. What are you waiting for? For all of the neighbors to see. It will prevent them stealing your goats, too. Also for arrest, but hey, we all need a hobby. Hey, you know what? The cops have their place in the world. I have mine. We all know how this works. You know what I'm saying? This isn't mysterious. And just because my ideas and the cops' ideas don't run exactly parallel to one another doesn't mean that I'm going to stop doing what I do. I'm not to be ruled, dude. This is always my point. You cannot rule me. I can barely stand to be represented. These motherfuckers in Washington that claim to represent me, most of them I'd like to bust in the mouth. Honest to God, like 90% of them I'd like to just drag over in a corner and just punch in the mouth one good time and see how they act. Because I think most of them are punks. And I think most of them don't have the sense God gave a goddamn rat. Hell, half of them fight against their own best interest, for fuck's sake. The hell are we supposed to think about that? Yeah, right? Like Trudeau, right? This bitch wearing fake-ass eyebrows. Motherfucker, you're a dude. I'd like to slap that motherfucker in the mouth just for doing that. Look, I don't care if you want to be a pretty motherfucker and go put on fancy clothes or what. I don't care. That's your thing. Go do it. I don't give a shit. But don't tell me that fucking you're the measure of fucking humanity, like I'm supposed to turn into you. Because that's not going to happen. And if you try to make me be like you, I am going to slap your eyebrows off. If I sense the slightest bit of manipulation, and I got to tell you, my spidey senses run deep. If I sense the tiniest bit of manipulation, I will slap your fucking eyebrows off for daring to try it. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you're a metrosexual. I don't care if you're a heterosexual or a bisexual. I don't give a fuck what you do in your house away from me. I don't care. It's none of my business. Don't tell me. Please, I don't want to know. Can't we just talk about the new lawnmower you bought? Do you gotta tell me how many dicks you sucked getting there? Jesus fucking Christ, man. I don't care what you do in your spare time. Your hobbies are not my business. But why the fuck you gotta shove it down my throat? Why I gotta fucking listen to your shit? I don't tell you how many fucking bitches I bang. Holy shit, what happened to these people? No Mrs. Yeti stories, man. Of course, that's to protect your identity and the dignity of Mrs. Yeti. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck happened to people? Like, why do you have to make your business my business? Why is it so important to you that I know what the fuck you're doing? Maybe I don't want to know. and this is no offense to Deborah, but maybe I don't give a fuck what your cat is doing right now. Again, no offense to Deborah. We love you here. But I'm just saying, like, why do you have to make people, and I'm not accusing anybody in here, of course. I mean, you people are normal. That's why I keep you around, because you're the normal people. We're the last. We're it. We're the handful of people that can see common sense and not freak the fuck out and act like a bunch of retards. I really do. Like, we're the last ones on earth that can even do this. They drank Bernie's Kool-Aid. Man, they drank a whole bunch more than Bernie's Kool-Aid. They were making cocktails of Kool-Aid back there. They were like Tom fucking Cruise tossing bottles of Kool-Aid up in the air, mixing that shit up. Yeah, we're the fuck. I'm telling you, we are the realists. We are the last bastion. I really think we are, man. I keep looking around for others, and I'm not seeing it. I'm not fucking seeing it. I keep diligently scanning the horizon, and I haven't seen another flag flying anywhere, brothers and sisters, and I'm telling you, it's looking grim. Like Dan Bongino, like he'd fit right in with us. He's a nutcase. He's a fucking warrior, man. He knows what he's talking about. He's not stupid. Define normal. Normalized is running in an awareness track that is parallel to factual, objective reality. See, and what that means is that when you look at the world and you see a tree that falls over in a park, you don't go, holy fuck, the patriarchy just raped that lesbian tree. See, you don't say that. You go, holy fuck, a tree just fell over. I wonder why that might have happened. And then you go investigate the roots, you know. You might go look at the roots. Or maybe earlier you heard a chainsaw and you go, I heard that chainsaw running and then that big fucking tree fell over. I bet they have one to do with another. You don't go, you do not say, holy shit, I think the patriarchy just ass-raped another lesbian tree root system. That's not what you say, because we're fucking normal. We don't say shit like that because that is not normal. That is normal. When your awareness of the situation runs parallel with factual reality, that is what they call, that is normal. That's normalized. Because it's normalized to factual reality. Testable, reproducible, factual reality. Look, everybody in this room has their own issues, especially fucking Ivana. That chick's crazy. She'll snatch you out of your car at a fucking intersection in a second, Jack. You don't even fucking know. You're very welcome, Ivana. Welcome back, by the way. Good to see you. So, like, you know, we're the people, damn tree root rapists anyways. That's what I'm saying, man. We don't say stupid shit like that. You know, we don't blame the fact that, you know, our t-shirts suck on the fact that the patriarchy is keeping us down, or that, you know, Whitey be holding a nigga down and shit. We don't think like that. We're not geared to go off of reality. We go, wait a minute, hold on, let's go back and look at reality. Factual, objective reality runs here, and my opinion is exactly parallel to it. Now there's scales to that. There's grades to that. You might run parallel to it at 1/4 inch, or you might run parallel to it at 1/2 inch. You know, there's some give and take in there. I'm not saying that, you know, there isn't a difference of perception of the you know, of the objective reality. Everybody can have their own opinion. There's a place in that range for every opinion. But what you can't do is deviate from factual reality, and that's what makes us normal, because none of us, not one of us in this chat room, will tolerate that. Because the second some idiot goes, well, it's because the patriarchy has been holding down the lesbian tree root system for so long that finally the lichens revolted and there was a fucking protest downtown. It was awesome, wicked. And then the lichen, they're a wicked lichen protest. Bro, they got tired, so they went to fuck. I mean, come on, really? This is what you're going to tell me is parallel with reality? Fuck you. It's not. The lichen revolt. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, and you can't convince me that that's normal thinking. You will never. There is absolutely no circumstance under which I could go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's put that guy in charge. It's just never going to happen. It's not going to happen. I am an ordained purple dragon, so save the dragons. Yeah, I'm not liking that. Oh, that's a good one. Good one, Tanya. You busted out the puns on me. All right, it's on. Pun warfare it is. Just remember, you threw down the gauntlet, all right? Yeah, you guys do realize that it's a couple generations of parents that fucked this up, right? You're going to ice cream scoop my guts out and I'll be good to go. Wow. Right on. Woohoo. That sounds epic. You should write a fucking like an epic poem. And instead of like an ice cream scoop, you could blame it on a dragon and it would be epic. You'd be like, I fought a dragon and ate my guts out, but it only took the ones I didn't need, so I'm still alive. Fuck you, dragon! And it would be epic. Write that shit down on some parchment and bury it. In 100 years, they'll dig it up and be like, what the fuck was wrong with this bitch? That was like 2017. They had computers and shit. This chick was crazy. I'm a fucking archaeologist. This is buried like 20 years ago. The hell am I supposed to do with that? Oh. Donate your ovaries to cryo testing. That's a little weird, but okay. Whatever. They're your ovaries. Do what you want with them, lady. Yeah, you couldn't put the little sticker on them that said tested. A little stamp tested by 22. Inspected for quality assurance by... Yeah, FDA approval, right? Yeah. Janet, these ovaries came. They're not stamped with the FDA stamp. If they don't have the stamp, send them back. Fuck. What the hell is wrong with my brain? Jesus Christ. They may be a delicatessen one day. That is for sure, dude. We would not have gotten Trump without some extra fucking oomph and help from the outside. I think maybe God or Jesus or Odin or one of them motherfuckers gave us a little bump across the line. Because holy hell. Federal Department of Death. Well, that would be FDD. It's the FDA, Federal Department of Asphyxiation, maybe. That usually leads to death. Federal Department of Vital Statistics. Vital, as in like not vital. Dead. The Federal Death Association. Yeah, you could do it that way too. Turn it into an association. Good man. See, Gus knows how to work the system. He's been in there, man. He sees how they do that shit. Like Federal Death Association. It's not a department at all. It's an association. Ha ha ha. Possible collusion. Jesus fucking Christ, Tanya, you're right. I could be colluding. Oh, wait, no, I'm not colluding. I'm cahooting. I'm in cahoots. I ain't colluding with anybody. I've never colluded. I've cahooted with a few people, but I ain't never colluded. I'm sorry, Senator. I don't recall. Yeah, I've been in cahoots with a fella or two. Holy shit. I thought my computer was shutting down. It wasn't. It was just my monitor. I have to go in and change those settings to never. When do we go to your screensaver? Never. But what if we... Never! If I want my fucking screensaver, I'll tell you. You cocksucker. You don't just be putting my screensaver up. Who's captain of this boat, me or my screensaver? That's what I'm talking about. That's right, Bear. Lead by example. Live the life you would like to see in others. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that one stings. But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, right, Deborah? I don't recall. I'm sorry, I don't recall. I'm sorry, Senator, I don't know. I don't recall. Like, dude, it happened like 6 weeks ago. You're a fucking idiot. Are you stupid or are you a criminal? Which is it? Just say it, because most of us already know. Be the change you want to see in the world. That's right. Oh, I'm belching like a motherfucker tonight. I'm not sure why. This is why I love people. Look, Gandhi, right? Do you guys know about Gandhi? All right, in the chat. Everybody that knows about Gandhi, I want you to tell me that you know about Gandhi. I don't know. Push 1. That's a chat thing to do. Push 1 for if you know about Gandhi. Oh, look, Miriam and Tanya Sharma right off the bat. It's an Indian thing. Ish. Well, look, let me tell you a little story about Gandhi. Gandhi was a wonderful human being, okay? And I want to say that before I tell this story so that you don't get the wrong idea. Gandhi was a wonderful human being, and he really thought in greater terms than the average douchebag, right? He had bigger ideas. He said, look, it doesn't matter what you want for this world because this world is temporary and physical and it's going to be gone very, very soon. We need to know what we want for the greater world, for the greater spiritual self. What do you want for the eternal soul to be attached to? Do you want that to be attached to some sort of negative bullshit? Or do you want that to be attached to something, elevated and something higher and some greater ideal? Right? So he's a pretty good guy. He's a high thinker. He understands that this is all temporary and that he's going in the proper direction and all that. And all of a sudden his wife gets sick. Right? And his wife gets sick, and a bunch of people said, hey, Gandhi, we got to take your wife to the hospital. And he said, no. No. You can't take her to that hospital. It's against our religion. And they said, oh, yeah. They said, yeah, you're right. It is. And his wife agreed. She said, yes, it is. I will not go. She even agreed. She said, yeah, I'm not going. You're right. It would be against God as we understand him. Right? And so so they didn't send her, and eventually she actually died of the disease that she had. It was and it was a curable disease. But look, I'm not believe me, I'm not dogging Gandhi here. That's not my intention. I'm trying to illustrate something. All right. So Gandhi's wife dies. Right? Several months later, Gandhi himself is diagnosed with the exact same disease. What did he do? He went to the fucking hospital. That's what he did. He went to the fucking hospital. That religious shit didn't even come up in his mind. Okay? And Gandhi is one of the kindest human beings to ever have lived on this planet. I have no doubt. I have absolutely no question about his intentions for humanity. He was a good, right? He was like, you know what? Maybe on second thought, now that it's my nuts on the line. No, he didn't get a hot 18-year-old wife, although he probably could have. I imagine there'd have been some little Hindu girl that would have been just more than happy to throw herself on that altar, but 9-year-old, Jesus, Tanya, come on. We're not we're not Allah people here. We're not Allah Akbaring over here. Oh, I'm sure that you do. I'm absolutely positive that you do. I just always thought that was a really interesting story. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shows me that, look, humanity and human nature runs through everybody. There is nobody exempt from that shit. Not Gandhi, not the people that wrote the Bible, not the people that guided us where we're at now, not the people that gave us this institution that we call America, not anybody. None of these motherfuckers were perfect. Not one. There is not one great motherfucking figure from all of history that is perfect. Not one. Although they say Jesus was perfect. He was a human being, so I question that. But I'll give it to you because I have no way to prove otherwise. I think that human beings are always going to be considered and consider things from the point of view of their own best interest. And most rational thinking human beings will always perceive things from the perspective of their own best interest. God cannot repair a perfect vessel, only a broken one. The dude, yeah, you're exactly right. We are all flawed, man. And these motherfuckers that they trot out before us like the fucking Hollywood douches and these people in Washington like they're fucking important or elevated or different from us. They're not. In fact, most of them are less than us. Because I know some people right here in this chat that would save their wife before considerations of religion. And you can call that selling out your ideals or whatever you want. It's about protecting your family and protecting your line and protecting what's yours. Oh, exactly, Northsider. There is no human being that is greater than another. There is no man or woman of greater or lesser value than any one of us. And the only thing that separates us from the lions is our fucking rules. And the second you throw the rules out the window, oh boy. I think I'm making spaghetti sauce. Right on, bro. Dude, a little ground beef in the pan, some tomato, some Italian seasonings, a little garlic, little oregano, some thyme. Over a fire, too? Get the fuck out of here, man. Italian gravy. That's right. Yeah, they call it gravy. Sunday gravy. Sunday gravy is the shit because that shit been saving up all week. Oof. I've been invited to some Italian households for Sunday gravy, man. Dutch oven, even better. Even fucking better, man. In a couple hours, you can throw some fucking pasta in there and add a little bit of water. Just let it cook. Slow cook that shit. Few coals on top, few coals underneath, and just let it slow cook till morning. Holy fuck, dude. Let me say you're welcome ahead of time. Or if you got some good fast cooking pasta, you can be done in a couple hours. Oh, yeah, if it's Dutch oven lid, you ain't accidentally bumping that off. And yeah, you're right. Ain't no raccoon pulling that motherfucker off. Not before their little fingers burn off. Well, now I want spaghetti. It's a little different cooking it in a Dutch oven. Because you kind of got to think, like you don't cook the noodles and then straight. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a backwards thinking when you cook in a Dutch oven. You cook all the sauce and all the liquid, and then you add the dry pasta and then water to accommodate the dry pasta and just let it set. And it all cooks together, you know. And it works. That's why I love Dutch ovens. They're awesome. I'll make you spaghetti with the most basic fucking ingredients that you can imagine, and you'd think it was fucking cooked all day, and it wasn't, you know. Couple hours tops. You'll think it was like homemade, cooked down fucking spaghetti sauce from Mama's house. Holiday Sinatra and nice family dinners. Hell yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, Raul. Them Italians will feed you, man. If you make friends with an Italian, you're going to get fed. Grandma going to hook you up, or mama, or somebody. This is my Aunt Cece. She going to hook you up. Next thing you know, you got like mountains of fucking lasagna on a plate that you're never going to be able to finish. And it will kick your ass right on. Right on. Gotta love that. Yeah, Bear. That's a good idea. I always keep, and I got a deep freeze down in my basement. It's one of the, like, the lid lifts up. It's like the big block freezer. You know what I mean? I got a couple of milk jugs down there that are, several actually, that are full of just water along the one side. And then the meat and stuff is all packed in around that. But like the reason I did that is in case the fucking power goes off when I keep that shut, that ice is going to keep that shit cold for much, much longer. You know what I'm saying? Give me a better chance to get my shit back online. Baklava. Holy shit, dude. And stuffed grape leaves. You motherfucking Greek bastards with your stuffed grape leaves. That shit was awesome. Stuffed grape leaves is fucking awesome, dude. I ran into this Greek dude. I don't even remember where I ran into him. And we ended up being cool and shit. And we went and hung out for a few days. And I ended up over at his house. And his old lady, who was from Greece, like he had just got her over to America, was cooking for us. And she made stuffed grape leaves that night. And it was fucking, you Greek bastards. They're fucking awesome, man. I love the Greeks. Greek people are awesome. They're hot-headed like Latinos, you know what I mean? But yeah, she made these stuffed grape leaves and they were just the best fucking thing ever, man. Yeah, with lemon. Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. See, Northsider knows. God, the grape, that was so good. And I think it was lamb meat in the grape leaves. I don't think it was beef. It might have been beef. I don't know. I think it was lamb, or probably maybe a mix. Who knows? It was so good. Oh, Jesus. I ate like 20 of them fucking things. She had a huge giant pot full of them. You're Greek. Oh, so you know what I'm talking about, right? The stuffed grape leaves and shit. She had a huge pot full of these fucking things. And she's like, here, eat. Eat as many as you want. Like, she was like, you're not going to finish my pot full of grape leaves, so you just do what you do. I bet I ate 20 of them motherfuckers. I was just stuffed to the gills. It was so good. Oh, and she had this, like, she made this white sauce. It wasn't mayonnaise. It was thinner than mayonnaise. And she, like, put that on there, too. That was fucking fantastic. Domatis, yes, that is it. Jesus, look, Northsider's on it. She can straighten me out on all this shit. Hell yeah, Northsider. Greek women, woot woot. Raise the roof. The couple of days I was over at their place, man, I learned to love Greek food. They fucking Greek the shit out of me over there. Tzatziki sauce. I don't know. I think Domatis is what she said. Anyway, it was fucking so good, man. It was like this fucking, like this white yogurt sauce that she put oh my God, I ate myself stupid over there. I felt kind of embarrassed. I was like, holy shit. And they didn't even care. They were like, we're fucking happy to have you, dude. She fed the fuck out of me. The Italians and the Greeks will feed you. Look, if you end up in an Italian house or a Greek house, you're not going to leave there without eating yourself into embarrassment, all right? That's just not going to happen. Grandma is not going to let you out the back door unless you have at least a half a mountain of her lasagna. or a dozen of Mama's grape leaves, okay? It's just not going to happen. Yeah, you're feeders. Yeah, you will feed people. I love you guys. If you go into a French house, you'll live there for 3 days and you'll see 2 plates of food that if you scraped them all together might fit in the corner of your lunchbox that you drag to work in the end. They got small food. I never understood the French. They're like, French cooking, it is the best. Here, look at my giant trout thing. And it's like this little shaving of trout curled in a little curl in the middle of a plate with like some drizzle over it and like 2 sprigs of fucking asparagus. And I'm like, all right, you some bitches need to go spend some time in Greece or fucking Italy because you all don't know how to eat. You motherfuckers don't know how to eat. You gave me one little shit of the fucking fish there curled up in a plate with some drizzle on it and a couple of sprigs. Fuck you. That's not food. Come eat at Hillbilly House. Get some chili and cornbread, nigga. She said that's only the fine dining, though. Yeah, but even still, I'm like, that's not food. And they're going to charge you more for that. They're going to tell you that's a $60 meal. I'm like, bitch, I could have bought a half a cow for $60. What are you talking about? I get one close to going bad, the butcher's going to sell it to me for whatever I want. Roscoe's chicken and waffles, right? Yeah, chicken and waffles, man. I've never actually eaten the two together, but I like both. The whole idea of chicken and waffles is a little weird to me, but, you know, whatever. A French farm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shepherd's pie. Shepherd's pie is awesome. Absolutely. I love shepherd's pie, as a matter of fact. With the cheese and the tater mash. And oh, God, that's good. I have a special baking pan. Don't go to fine dining when you're hungry, right? Yeah, because you're not going to get fed. That's not real food in there. But I have the special baking pan for shepherd's pie. When I make shepherd's pie, that's basically all I make in it. Unless I make lasagna and then I put lasagna in it. But that's like literally, that's the only 2 things I've ever cooked in that pan. Man, I love shepherd's pie. That's comfort food, man. That's down with anxiety. I agree, Miriam. Stop being anxious, damn it. Pumpkin soup that looked like strained baby shit and raw beef for an encore. Oh, yeah, Canoes. Absolutely. Look, I like to mix it up. Yeah, my shepherd's pie is never the same way twice. You know what I'm saying? One time it'll have green beans. One time it'll have peas. One time it'll be like ground up beef regular, and then I'll add taco seasoning or, I've added Italian seasoning. I've done, instead of gravy, I've actually used fucking like the pasta sauce, the jarred pasta sauce. Get the cheapest pasta sauce you can and use it in that kind of shit because it always comes out better. The expensive pasta sauce never holds up. when you bake it and shit, it never holds up. Chicken with honey mustard, waffle and maple syrup, dinner, dessert. Yeah, I get it. You know, I've never done it together, but I get it. Sweet, salty, you know. The old, you know, the caramel covered peanuts thing. Sweet and salty together. It's awesome. I get it. I can't wait to get Happies. God damn, Dallas, between the wax and the fucking kratom, you ought to be Happies in it the fuck up. Oh, you don't like the salty sweet thing, Deborah? I like salty sweet, like the peanuts with the like the sweet covering. They're salty peanuts, but they have the sweet covering or the caramelite. Yeah, I like that shit. Oh, well, a lot of people do. Some people don't. It's cool. Thou shalt drink thine whole bottle of bodies, Happies, and ease. Comfortably numb, ring a bell. Right, Donald? Yeah, dude ought to be in fucking Happy Town, man, and all the fucking shit he's on. Yeah, I'm not picky. I eat almost anything unless I just can't eat it. Like, I can't eat regular nuts because my teeth are all broken, right? I don't have any, like, falsies to chew on them with. Maybe one day. But I can't chew nuts on broken teeth. It's just too painful. I can't do it. I can eat a sandwich on them and shit. I can tolerate it, but I can't, like, chew nuts on broken teeth. It's too much for me. I'm not that much of a dog. Call me a pussy, you know what I'm saying? So, like, if it's too hard or too crunchy or whatever, I can't eat it. But other than that, I'm pretty much on it. Like, feed me. I'm going to go outside and burn it off in an hour anyway. It don't matter. Fucking feed me, man. Give me the grease and the yummy fat and the juice and the sugar and all that. What? No meat, no gravy on the meat, bitch. Is you crazy? Swamp Song, that's right. It's not time to close up yet, though. That's the closing song, Bear. Thank you for promoting my song, though. We are going to be, I don't know. I'm not going to give any more teasers. I've already given enough. We'll work that out in a couple of days. I know, right, Tanya? Thank you. And I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it enough to play it all the time like that. It's awesome. See, when my band hits a stadium, you guys will be the ones out there with your lighters. Like, fucking lighter me up, dude. Fucking rock on. If your boyfriend doesn't bring you to my first stadium concert, I'm never going to forgive him. I'm just saying. The ones toking. Yeah, right? Yeah, everybody, like, you guys would be the motherfuckers hiding up in the corner of the far left-hand corner of the stadium, like up there in the corner, all smoking joints and shit together. Somebody's got their 15-year-old kids standing guard at the corner looking for the 5-0 to come up. They're coming! They're coming! Stash the bongs! Deborah's like, nah, right out in front. No shit, Donald. No, I'm not that guy, dude. If I eat too much and I'm not doing something and I'm not operating and moving my body, I'll become a fat ass quick. Like I can literally put on and take off like 40 pounds in say 90 days. I can put it on and take it off in 90 days. I have the metabolism of a sloth. I can eat a hot dog on Monday, burp, and taste it on Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? I have a very efficient metabolism, man. I store shit for long periods of time. It's the Viking in me. They stranded us out to sea for months. Like, fuck you, you're going to America. We don't even know if it exists. Yeah, shut up, you pansy. We're sailing into oblivion. Suck it up, sailor. That's not sloth. The sloth has the slowest metabolism, right on. Shut the fuck up and get in the boat. Nobody asked your fucking opinion, dude. We'll ask you when we hit that fucking hurricane by Greenland, you motherfucker. Holy shit balls, Batman. Where the fuck is Bruce Wayne? He was here earlier, wasn't he? Did he take off? Bruce, you still here? Bruce Wayne! Somebody put up the fucking bat signal. The Edges will be on board the boat. That's right. We're going to reframe your question for you. Holy sweet mother of God. So I met Vaughn earlier. Yeah, I know, right? I did too. He's probably over at Bears, actually. He might still be in Vaughn's, as a matter of fact. Holy sheep shit. Tired from his cleansed diet. Yeah, that could be too. You know, he might not be feeling good because he's doing that, he's cleaning himself out. I am not up. Okay, Bear. Yeah, he might be at Vaughn's or maybe he's just laying down. Either way, it's cool. I like Bruce. Bruce is cool. Millionaire, philanthropist, superhero, you know. What's not to like? Hell yeah, Bruce Wayne is legit, man. All right, let me see what's going on here.
Great job on immigration. He was doing a great job on discrimination in college applications with the Department of Justice, with these colleges that were discriminating against Asian Americans. This stuff was happening. Ladies and gentlemen, we had massive amounts of people in the FBI and the Department of Justice who were forced to leave their jobs or are under investigation right now because of their roles in Spygate. Is this happening at a too slow of a pace? Yes. Did I wish all of this was happening faster? Yes. Did I wish Sessions didn't recuse himself? Yes. But I'm not here to give you easy answers. I'm not an anonymous Twitter account or any of this other stuff. I'm a real person who has actual sources, some who are right, some who aren't. I'm not patting myself on the back. A lot of you guys have sources too. I'm just saying that the stuff that I've been told actually happened. I had told you about the Andy McCabe thing, the deputy director of the FBI. Then we find out weeks later that there is, in fact, a grand jury panel, and the grand jury was looking into Andrew McCabe, the deputy director of the FBI, who had been terminated. There is stuff happening. Is it happening at the pace we want? No. But it's happening according to a process, and the process matters. People are being looked at. If you heard Sarah Carter last night on Hannity, who has impeccable sources, there are things going on. I wish it was happening faster. So the good news is I think this was a good call. Sessions had to go. The bad news is there are people out there piling on at this point. Oh, it's over. Let's just let it go. Let it go. There are things happening behind the scenes. There is a grand jury impaneled. People have left. You need the names? Rybicki, Baker, McCabe, Comey, Strzok, Page. The list goes on and on. People who have been forced out. The only ones who aren't, Bill Priestep being one of them at the FBI, I believe, as I've said in many shows, are working with the Justice Department. And I believe that because Priestep seems to be the only one. He's a senior manager in the FBI, intimately involved in Spygate. Priestep keeps appearing on press releases for the FBI. How is it that everybody around him has been fired, Joe, or has walked away and he hasn't? I believe it's because he's cooperating. The question, Joe, cooperating with who? If there's nothing going on, who's he cooperating with? So a guy was upset. He's like, "Oh, Dan, you told us to have some faith and some patience." I didn't tell you to be an idiot. I'm not telling you not to be frustrated. I'm just telling you that your friend's having this conversation like, "Oh, nothing's going on at all. The DOJ's not doing it." They're doing it slow. They're doing it too slow. There are things I wish would happen quicker, but there are things happening. My suggestion with Sessions is we not pile on at this point. And let me tell you why. Not because I'm sensitive about his feelings. He's not a snowflake. Sessions is a good man. He made a bad call on that recusal, an awful call, and the separation had to happen. But, Joe, there's a real penalty to the pile-on at this point. And there's a reason a lot of people who are in the know about what's going on have not piled on Sessions. "Oh, get him out. He's the worst. Good. Goodbye. See you. Sayonara. Take care, buddy." Number one. Joe, there's a Senate seat coming up in Alabama in 2020.
Yes, sir.
Whose Senate seat was it? Jeff Sessions.
Yep.
Who's in it now? Not Jeff Sessions, but a Democrat, Doug Jones. I have a story in the show notes today, one about Acosta, one about a lot of good stories, but one about Sessions as well. I didn't mention that in the last segment. That's why I bring it up. Check out the show notes today, please. Please subscribe to my email list. I have an interesting story about Sessions, that there's some behind the scenes about Sessions potentially running for that seat. Folks, Sessions was a solid conservative vote on just about everything. He also stands a significant chance against an incumbent now, Doug Jones. And listen, it's a red state, Alabama. But Jones won. He's there. Do not take this for granted. A lot of commentators are like, "Oh, that Senate seat's going to flip." We said that about Montana, too. And look at what happened. What happened, Montana? I love you guys and ladies to death. What happened? How could you not get Tester out? I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound... But I live in Florida, which is a purple state. This isn't a blood red state like mine. We got rid of Bill Nelson. What happened with Tester? There's no reason to have a Democrat in that seat. I'm so frustrated with what happened in Montana. I can't even tell you. I know the conservatives got out and did your thing. Please don't take it the wrong way. But a lot of Republicans voted for Tester. How do we know that, Joe? Because the registration advantage, Republican and Democrats, overwhelming. Well, I don't understand why you voted for Tester. This guy's going to give you nothing. You had Rosendale was a perfectly good choice. Now we got to deal with this guy for 6 years. I say that. Don't attack Sessions. We don't need to attack Sessions. You all right? You're looking at me funny there.
I heard a funny noise. Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah. I know. You don't have to cut this out. Folks, I live in Florida where the power goes out every 2 seconds. My whole office runs on battery. That was the battery kicking in.
Okay.
Joe's like, I saw the look on your face. You're like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
We're okay, folks. We're okay. It's Florida where lightning strikes it's the lightning capital of the world. My whole office is on battery power. That's why. So it clicks on and off when the power goes out. Sessions will likely run for that seat. He will likely win in a resounding manner. We need the seat. Let's not pile on at this point. This is important. Think long term. Second, who's going to be the new AG? Let me throw a little plan out at you, Joe. What I think to be fair, I've seen other people talk about this too. I don't want to act like this is in any way proprietary information. Right. But let me just tell you something I'm hearing through kind of some back channels here. Who do you think would be a really good fit for this attorney general spot right now? And this name might not come. Some of you may think of it right away. Some of you, I'm hearing a lot of people say Giuliani and others. Fine, all good choices. I've heard Alex Azar's name brought up, the HHS secretary.
We talking a woman here?
Nope.
No?
Although Janice Rogers Brown name has come up, and I like her better for the Supreme Court.
All right.
He's a guy. Let me give you a hint, Joe. He's Cuban. He's in Texas. His initials are TC, and he just won a big race. Now, you may say, whoa, Dan, no, hear me out.
Yeah.
This is not that. I don't just bring up simple stuff, because a lot of you may be saying, obviously I'm talking about Ted Cruz, I'm being a bit silly. A lot of you may be saying, Dan, that's a terrible call. Do we really right now want to get involved in another open seat Senate race in a state where Beto, Robert Francis O'Rourke, almost pulled off an upset? Folks, let me explain to you the tactical genius of this if it happens. One, you get Ted Cruz, almost guaranteed with this new buffer in the Senate, thanks to the pickups in Florida, Indiana, North Dakota. Thanks to the pickups, he's almost absolutely, barring some catastrophe, guaranteed confirmation. We know, and I know Cruz personally, I'm not name dropping, the guy's a spectacular and a brilliant conservative. He's more than qualified. He was a Solicitor General of Texas. He's a legal genius, and he's just a brilliant guy. He would be a spectacular Attorney General to advance the constitutional principles we believe in. The downside, which I know, Joe, I can see that look in Joe. I know what he's thinking. Do we really want to go through this again in Texas? We just got the guy in there.
Just what I
was
was
thinking. What if
thinking.
Beto runs again?
Yeah.
Folks, Texas is a trap for Democrats. It has always been a trap for Democrats. Wendy Davis, Beto, think about it. They just poured, $70 million into a Senate seat in the highest turnout election in midterms you're going to see in your lifetime, probably. They still lost by 4 points. Specials, and it depends when they would do the election, whatever. But if they could not win with this, air quotes, rock star Beto, who the media salivated over, this guy had every advantage in the book. They loved Beto. Robert Francis was the media's dream. He still lost significantly. What's my point? Ladies and gentlemen, money and people do not grow on trees. Remember, money doesn't grow on trees. My dad used to tell me that. They don't. Let's make the Democrats pile in again, Joe, their massive money machine, their massive people machine, into Texas for a race they will unquestionably get smoked in. I'm telling you right now. There's a chance. But make them waste their assets right before depending on when this election happens. I'm sorry, I'm not intimately familiar with how the Texas, there would probably be an appointment, and they may put it on in 2020, whatever it may be. But let's let them pour again their assets into this Beto race that did not go where, Joe? They didn't go into Indiana. Mm-hmm. They didn't go into Montana, which was lost by a sliver. Mm-hmm. They didn't go into West Virginia, which was lost by a sliver. They didn't go into North Dakota, where we won. They didn't go into Florida, where we won. They didn't go into the Georgia race, where we won. These are monies that did not go into those races. Now, those races were well funded, but you know how much money was wasted on Beto? Wasted. They lost. Folks, I think it's a tactically genius plan. Now, I'm a risky cat, unlike my friend. I got this cop friend of mine, Brian. He's my best friend, and he wants to move to Florida. He's the most risk-averse guy ever. He's the hardest working guy I ever met, but he didn't want to move. He's afraid he's not going to, get a post-retirement job. Meanwhile, the guy works 80 hours a week. I'm the most risky cat in the world. I'll do anything. Hey, let's resign the Secret Service and run for office. In Maryland? Let's do it. That's when I met Joe. I'll take a risk anywhere. Remember, Joe, let's start a podcast. Yeah. Who listens to that crap? That's what people told us 3 years ago. Nobody listens to that 4 years ago. Okay, 250,000 people a day tell you otherwise now. But I'm a risky guy. I think this is a risk we're taking. Make these Democrats waste their money and all their assets in another special in Texas or an election in Texas where they will unquestionably get smoked so we can siphon off their assets from other places. I think it's a genius move. And you get Ted Cruz as Attorney General, a reliable constitutionalist who will never, ever back down. Ever. Call me crazy, folks, but I think it's a genius plan. What do you think, Joe? You like that?
Yeah, it's
it's ballsy, right? I love it. I love it. I thought of that this morning. I'm like, I got to put that out there. I love the plan. All right, finally, today's show brought to you by our buddies at We the People Holsters. Hey, listen, We the People Holsters are custom-made holsters made here in the United States of America. I get tons of compliments about We the People because their holsters are the finest out there. I was given a sample of one early in the game when they came on board. And I called up the sales rep for our show, and I said, this is great. Bring them on board instantly. They design their own holsters in-house. They don't use any crappy third-party molds. They build their own molds for precision, a precision fit. And they're beautiful-looking holsters. They do it right here in Las Vegas. They cut every mold to fit each firearm perfectly. When they say they design their own molds, they are not messing around. They have a 3D design team that measures every nook and cranny of the firearm for the perfect fit. You can adjust the cant. You can adjust the ride. What does that mean? When you wear these in the pants holsters, these cheapos, you know what I'm talking about, these $10 ones you get in the...
Thanks, Donald. Holy shit. You're right. I totally missed it. I was chatting again. Come on, get the... I have gnats. I hate gnats. Why do I have gnats in the fall? We shouldn't have gnats in the fall. Motherfuckers. Said he was moving past it. Yeah, look, Ivana, the whole thing was hinky. Like, it's all... Yeah, but I think this was a fucking false flag that got busted. I think this was a busted false flag. I think somebody got wind of what was going on ahead of time. Yeah, that too, Raul. Yeah, right? Oh, this is the new normal. Just get used to it because this is going to happen. Yeah, I hear you, Ivana. It's like they're going all out. They're panicked. They're the leftists, the deep state, with the derp state, whatever you want to call them. They are literally in their last legs. They're on their last hoorah.
And actually put it to the new Clash of the Titans movie, the new one, where that Kraken with like 50 tentacles, the scene goes on forever. The initial Clash of the Titans with Harry Hamlin, the Kraken's like the worst animatronic Kraken ever. The new one, that's a serious Kraken. Release the Kraken! That Kraken's hardcore. Folks, this is the path going forward. The only reason I bring it up again is not to repeat yesterday's show, but I had mentioned yesterday, and I'm starting to see it appear in mainstream outlets, that Donald Trump is considering going forward now declassifying the information after the midterms. I'm not in any way suggesting he heard that on my show yesterday. I'm not that arrogant. But again, getting wind and traffic from some people, declassify everything at this point. There's nothing to lose. And secondly, confirm everyone. Mitch McConnell, please, I'm going to say this again. If you're listening, I want a line of people like they're doing a limbo stick, walking in and out of that Senate, being confirmed from now till you're out of office. I have an article up at the show notes from the Daily Signal. There are 32 judicial nominees, Joe, currently waiting a full Senate vote who've been approved by the Judicial Committee. Release the Kraken! Release the Kraken! Get them there! Stat! ASAP! Now, I want you to read this Daily Signal piece because one limitation of my show, to be fair, is my knowledge of internal mechanics of the Senate is limited by what I get from people. The people who work in there full time, understandably, really understand floor time, how it works. And I'm doing my best because I don't like to be information limited at all on my show, especially because you invest so much time in me. Right. But I'm trying to understand this. So when I read things I find interesting, which I read in this Daily Signal piece you should check out, I like to pass them on to you. Joe, interesting little tidbit about the Release the Kraken strategy on confirming everyone. So declassify everything and confirm everyone. This was a fantastic tidbit of info. Joe, now that we have split government, there is going to be, as they say in the piece, less legislative floor time on the Senate because split government is really a significant obstacle towards. I'm not saying it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying it's a fact. When government's split and the Democrats are now going to run the House, the floor time for passing stuff, good or bad, is going to be limited because there's just this obstruction. Right. The Democrats are going to say, we're not doing this. The Republicans are going to say, we're not doing this. So when they say that, what gets done? Nothing.
Right.
When you have a unified government, a Republican House and Republican Senate, stuff gets passed and stuff gets through. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's good stuff. I'm just talking about the floor time. What does this have to do with releasing the Kraken and confirming everyone? I think it's Jared Stepman who writes the piece in the Daily Signal, makes a brilliant observation, Joe, that now that there's less legislative floor time because there's going to be divided government, there's a whole lot of floor time to release the darn Kraken and get every one of these appointees confirmed. The Democrats want to obstruct? Fine. Give them their 30 hours of floor debate and keep them in session forever. Keep them in session in perpetuity. I want confirmations happening on Christmas Eve. Listen, Mitch McConnell, if you're listening, or someone in your staff is listening, you will become a hero to the conservative movement if you can do this one thing. Get every single person confirmed. If we're not going to get anything done in the next 2 years because the Democrats run the House, and we're not going to get better tax cuts or spending control or constitutional stuff we need passed, right? If that's not going to happen, and the best you can do over 2 years is stack the courts with judges who believe in the Constitution. Stack them. Stack them. Yes, we'll take it then. We will take that. That is a win. That is a big win, which will have generational ramifications for the Republican Party. Generational ramifications. Do it. Confirm everyone. Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, New Year's, confirm everyone. And that point in the Daily Signal piece, which you should read, is a brilliant one. Brilliant! Brilliant! I knew you were going there. Brilliant! I saw it. I saw the finger. I saw it. Brilliant! There is now a ton of floor time to get all these people confirmed. Do it. Very frosty today. And one more final note before we go. By the way, tomorrow's show is going to be stacked, too, because I have so many stories I didn't even get to today. Let me just tease one thing for tomorrow's show. I wanted to get to this today, folks, but I'm limited by an hour. This may change in the future, but for now, we're doing an hour show. I want to give you some 2020 reasons for optimism. If you want to read the show notes today, there's a piece about it in the Examiner, but there's some real significant green shoots for 2020 and the Trump reelect. I want to get to that tomorrow. It's going to be a longer conversation, so I'm going to pass today. But I want to address one final thing. I got some emails from some people regarding when I had the conversation about Amendment 4 in Florida, where felons were granted the right to vote. And, when I say something wrong, I feel the need to correct it and apologize to you. I hope you don't for a second, not for a moment. I hope you didn't think I was attacking your character or anything. At one point, matter of fact, during the segment, I was very clear to say, I think on this we should do the right thing, not the easy thing. Just like the conversation I had the other day about the friend of mine who is an addict. And I want to get to some of that tomorrow, too. There's a new opioid on the market where there's a big debate breaking out. But I meant what I said. You are always welcome in our movement. If you committed a crime and you have found that moment of redemption, that matters to me. I did not mean to. That's why I said I was torn on it. And the reason I meant I was torn on it is because I believe the Democrats are pushing this for reasons that I believe in it because I believe it's the right thing. I don't believe that's why the Democrats are doing it. Are we clear on this, folks? I don't, and maybe I should have explained it a little more. It has a lot to do with absentee balloting, voter fraud, and expanding. I don't think it has anything to do with redemption. That's my problem. That's why I said it was torn. If you took that as an attack or me trying to somehow be in any way holier than thou, that my sincere and deep apologies. I am not. I am a sinner like everyone else. In absolute terms, I try my best. I try to get back on the track, but I fall off it all the time. I was genuinely touched by some of the emails. You are always welcome here. Always. Remember, I'm a Christian. I'm not a preacher. I respect whatever religion and faith you believe in. But it was Jesus Christ dying on the cross that looked over at a criminal in his last moments of life who asked to meet him in heaven, who forgave him right there because it was a genuine act of redemption. I believe in that. And I feel really awful that some people who have committed crimes in their past and have found the path took it as some kind of an attack on them. It was not meant to be that. And my sincere apologies for that. I mean that. Addicts, broken men and women who've had tough lives growing up, people who've committed crimes, this conservative movement's for you too. We believe in big R rights, granted by God, not by man. I did not mean that as an attack. I was strictly, that's why I kept using the word tactically speaking. The Democrats are not in this for redemption. The Democrats are in this because they want to pad voter rolls for a different reason altogether. And maybe I should have explained that better. My apologies. All right, folks, thank you so much for all your support. I do read your emails. So does Paula. She wanted me to, again, thank you for all of the positive emails about getting out and voting, how we inspired you somehow. We deeply appreciate it. It means a lot. Please subscribe to the show on iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud. You can.
All right. Yeah. Right on, Deborah. I haven't had a TV in my house in several years. I do everything I do on the computer. I don't do any TV at all, period. I'm just absolutely
Like this.
I'm just absolutely sick of mainstream everything, and I don't even want it in my house. You know, I mean, like I don't even want their shit in my house. I don't want their garbage in my house. I don't know any other way to explain it. I don't want any possibility that those mainstream douchebags are pumping poison into my home. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't want it. No TVs in my house. All computers, and then you go where you want, you know? I'm sure there is good stuff. I'm sure there is, but I don't trust any of it. I don't trust them. You know what I mean? I just don't trust them. That's all. TV is the devil. Yeah, it is. That's right, Miriam. TV is the devil. That shit is crazy, nigga. You know when the TV be telling you to kill your landlord and shit, nigga? That shit fucked up. Good, I caught myself. I was like, wait, you going, well, what? You gonna go kill your landlord, nigga? What you gonna do there? They gonna come arrest you, nigga. Nigga, you on food stamps. They gonna arrest the shit out your ass. You ain't Hillary Clinton, nigga. You ain't John McCain, nigga. They gonna arrest the shit out your ass.
Days after the election, the left starts behaving as who they are, and I keep asking myself, if people really knowingly vote for this? You got these mobs outside Tucker Carlson's house now in Washington, just because he's on television criticizing liberalism. I mean, this is what happens, folks. The left is all about making sure you don't get to say what you want to say or even think what you want to think. And did people knowingly elect people who believe in this? And this is, I'm forever tearing myself up trying to understand this. You've heard me go on and on and on about how I wish people were more ideological and understood what liberal means, leftist means. And sadly, I just don't think people are, except what they do think they know what a word means is conservative. When you say conservative to people, do you know how negative that name is as a brand, for example? They think they know what that is. And they think it's the worst thing in the world. They think it's the most scary thing in the world. They think it's the most outrageous thing they have to oppose, but they hear liberal or they hear leftist and they don't hear anything. It's mind-boggling. I mean, the left is who it is, and there's no mystery about it. They were filled with mobs and mobs and mobs during the Kavanaugh. We're told that the Kavanaugh thing had a major impact on Senate races. And what was the Kavanaugh thing? Well, it was a couple things. It was obviously a made-up bunch of phony charges, coupled with the mobs, coupled with the bullying, that nobody wanted any part of. And yet, people that the mobs support and vice versa, people who support the mobs, ended up being elected in several places. And it remains, to me, a huge curiosity. Greetings. It's great to have you here, folks. No press conferences that I know of that are going to interrupt the program today, so we should have a pretty good flow. If you want to be on the program, 800-282-2882, the email address, elrushbo@eibnet.us. There's real panic breaking out there on the left. And as I have studied the drive-by media cable news broadcasts today, they're not talking about this much. They're focusing on Acosta and how the White House is just horrible and communist and Stalinist-like by denying Jim Acosta a press pass, denying his... even that. What is the big beef about Donald Trump? What has been the big beef from the get-go, from never-Trumpers, from supposed rock-ribbed never-Trump conservatives and others, that Trump has no manners, right? That he's not enough of a diplomat. He's not sophisticated enough. Donald Trump is just, ew. He's an ogre. He's so rough around the edges. He's so impolite and rude. Well, what the hell was Jim Acosta yesterday? I mean, that was the epitome, the definition of rude. It was the definition of disrespectful. It was the definition of the absence of decorum. It was the definition of provocation. I think Acosta has been angling to get kicked out of the press corps for a while now. I've got the audio soundbite to prove it. I first made that suspicion known back on July 26th. I think people at CNN have been angling for exactly what happened yesterday. I don't think there's any question about it. To be that rude, to have that lack of manners, to be that disrespectful, had to be done on purpose. And even if you hate Trump and dislike Trump, you don't have to behave the way Acosta did. And now we've got this history revisionism where some essential White House intern was manhandling Acosta. A young woman was manhandling Acosta. I saw the media circling the wagons and jumping all over this young female intern yesterday when it was Acosta that wouldn't give up the mic. She's just trying to do her job. Trump is refusing to answer any more questions and telling everybody we're moving on to the next journalist, and Acosta won't give up the microphone and ends up shoving her. And that became the White House intern bullying Jim Acosta. You know, we've been there, done that. Does anybody remember the name Corey Lewandowski? The famous Corey Lewandowski incident during the presidential campaign. It was a 2-week media feeding frenzy. At the time, Lewandowski was the campaign manager for Trump for president, and he was accused of literally knocking a female reporter to the ground in a hotel at a post-primary election press conference. And it turned out they ran the video of it, slow motion, reverse slow motion, natural speed, fast forwarded. They even ran it left to right, right to left. They ran it every which way, and it proved he didn't knock anybody to the floor. But that didn't stop the woman and her boyfriend and others from suing Lewandowski, and they went to the Palm Beach County State Attorney, because it happened down here. And the Palm Beach County State Attorney says, nothing here. We're not charging the guy. Zip, zero, nada. Yeah, there was actual video footage of the incident. It was clear from the video Lewandowski did not knock her down. In fact, it wasn't even clear that he touched her. But he got fired. You know who replaced him? Do you remember who replaced him? You don't, do you? Does the name Paul Manafort ring a bell? It was when they falsely accused Lewandowski of knocking a female reporter to the floor that the Trumpster goes out and gets Manafort in there for a while. I think, I could be wrong about it. It could be that Manafort was before Lewandowski. I'm not sure. But regardless, whether it was Manafort or not, we still had an hysterical fake news media going bonkers over something that didn't happen. Now they're going bonkers over something also that didn't happen yesterday. But Jim Acosta, apparently anybody in the press corps can be as rude and as unsophisticated, as rough around the edges, as disrespectful as they want, and they're never going to be held account. They can abandon all official White House press room decorum. But you see, with Trump as president, the drive-by media needs their space to destroy. You know what the drive-by media, you know what they're protesters with credentials. They are their own mob. They are their own potential mob. They are clickbait. They're propaganda. Hell, even Larry King, who came out of whatever he's been holed up in the last number of years. Larry King was on Russian, he's got a show on the Russian television network. And even he started complaining about CNN. They don't even do the news anymore. All they do is just Trump this and Trump that, Trump here, Trump there. And that's pretty much true. I mean, it's a manufactured incident. Here, let me go back and play. Grab soundbite number one. This is me last summer in July. This is after there was a White House correspondent named Caitlin Collins was banned from a White House event. I actually think, folks, I think CNN and all the rest of them, I think they've actually wanted to get a White House reporter kicked off the detail. I think they've been angling for it. It's a great story for them. I think they've been trying to get kicked out. I think Jim Acosta has been trying to get kicked out. I think they've been trying to behave in such a way as to get kicked out so that they would have that story and be able to run with that story. Right. And so it happens yesterday. And the minute Acosta gets kicked out, he goes over to his own network, which makes sense.
I do think that this is a test for all of us.
What test?
Do think they're trying to shut us down to some extent inside the White House press corps. And to some extent, I think they're trying to send a message to our colleagues.
You're a fool.
I never thought in this country that I wouldn't be able to go and cover the President of the United States simply because I was trying to ask a question.
You weren't asking any questions. You were issuing demands and making statements. You were challenged. You weren't asking any questions, you buffoon. What do you mean? You never had a president that granted the media this kind of access. He can't stop. If he's taking a walk somewhere and there's a gaggle of press people, he stops and he'll talk to him for a half hour. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You have more press access with Donaldus J. Trump than you've had with your precious Barack Hussein O., who disdained you. You guys all think Obama loved you and Obama admired you and Obama thought of you as an equal. Obama thought you people were a bunch of schlubs. He put up with you because the office required it, but he doesn't want a thing to do with you. You are low-class, second-class citizens to him. You can't keep up with him. He disdained the fact he had to deal with you, but you guys sit there thinking, Obama, oh my God, we love Obama. Obama's such a great guy. Trump gives you more access. Trump tells you more truthful things about who he is, what he's thinking, how he's feeling, how he's acting. And you sit around and you sit there in judgment, oh, what a rotten guy Trump is, when you've got more access than you've ever had. Meanwhile, you give Trump no berth whatsoever. He better behave according to the decorum and the manners that you have set forth. But you can behave like infantile 6-year-olds all day long, anytime you want. And nobody's supposed to notice or criticize that. Well, a lot of people do. And a lot of people have. Here's Major Garrett. Was one more here before I get to what's really got people frightened in Washington that's not being talked about. This is the Late Show. Oh, why do we have the Late Show with COVID? Why do I get sound bites from comedy shows and there's no comedy on it? Why do I get sound bites from comedy shows? There's no laughs. All right, well, I got to play it now. Major Garrett, formerly Fox News, formerly the Associated Press, was on this so-called comedy show last night, and it questioned Peter Alexander, NBC News. He stood up for Jim Acosta. Is that the right thing to do? Should reporters do that for each other, or is it every man? What do you mean? You guys remember when Dan Rather totally made up the story about George W. Bush and the National Guard? And it was exposed as totally fake news, made it up, no documents, no witnesses. And what did they do? Brokaw and Jennings created a new award to give to Dan Rather, some career recognition thing, and they had a big dinner for him. Of course they circle the wagons to protect the news, to protect the industry. What is this? Journalists on their own business. Anyway, here's Major Garrett.
There is a collective sense that the president is not play acting with his attacks on the media.
Oh, no.
And maybe means it. And those of us who attend rallies know his supporters react to it, sometimes in ways that are so hostile as to make us concerned about our own.
Just a minute. Stop it. Is anybody at a Trump rally storming your house, Major Garrett? Have you ever felt personally threatened by anybody? Give me the evidence that somebody at a Trump rally has been stalking the media, threatening the media, showing up where you live. Give me the evidence here. Come on, Major, you're better than this. It's the left, as evidenced by all of these mobs during Kavanaugh, and now showing up at Tucker Carlson's house. And furthermore, there are other people. Ann Coulter and Hannity's home addresses have been given out, and they're going to be circulating around those locations now, too. And you sit there and talk about how threatening it is, how unsettling it is to go to a Trump rally. Trump rally is populated by some of the most polite, decent people in this country, which you also disdain because they are urban, or rural. They are not urban. Oh, that's a big story in the stack coming up here today, too. Here it is. I'll give you a little bit of a heads up. NBC reporter wonders how long the American majority is going to tolerate being pushed around by a bunch of people in rural America. You know what this is? We talked about it yesterday. You look at a map of all the counties in the contiguous 48 states, and it's 99% red. It's blue everywhere else in the cities and on the coast. And that's what this guy's talking about. They in the blue, in the city, they are the majority. And you people out there in rural America, you red state and red county, you are the minority and you're bullying people around. I used to think that the left stood up for minorities. I thought the left and the Democrat Party was there to protect the minority. But apparently not, because they think of themselves now as the majority, being pushed around by a bunch of you hayseeds and hicks who live in red, rural, and suburban areas. You know how they're doing this? They're running these silly, stupid comparisons. The Democrats got 55% of the votes for Senate. Republicans got 37% of the votes for Senate, and still the Republicans pick up seats. It's exactly as it's been designed, you doomcough. That's exactly how the Senate was designed. Every state gets 2 senators so that everybody in a state is represented equally without regard for population in the Senate. It's over in the House where population is considered and districts are created and drawn. Maud Behar, you want to talk about Maud Behar accused the Republicans of winning in the Senate because of gerrymandering. Folks, it's impossible to gerrymander the Senate. Every state gets 2 of them. Gerrymandering happens when congressional districts are redrawn and take weird shapes and what. But gerrymandering, she's considered a leading light. Gerrymandering is why the Republicans won the Senate. Yeah, and they picked up seats with only 37% of the vote for Senate. It's exactly because the founders, even though this is a majority rural country, the founders built in all kinds of protections for minorities, which the left used to champion. Telling you, folks, they are on the verge of trying to come up with ways to basically wipe you and your point of view out as far as having any input in elections or any influence. They're tired of you. They're sick of you. They're tired of dealing with you. You're not legitimate. You're in a lot of other things, too. You're not smart, all of these things. And they're fed up losing to you. Mark my words, it isn't going to be long, and somebody's going to suggest that elections are the problem. Just saying. Got to take a time out. We'll be back here in a minute, so don't go anywhere. Yes, I knew that Manafort was already working for Trump, but he was not the campaign manager. Manafort had joined the Trump campaign in March to work in getting and keeping delegates. Trump was winning all these primaries, and Ted Cruz and others were working a ground game and winning a bunch of delegates. And Trump said, "What the hell's going on here? I'm winning the election. I should be getting delegates." And so he hired Manafort to go in there and work on keeping and getting the delegates angle. And then after Lewandowski, that happened in June, after Lewandowski got canned, that was when Manafort was elevated to campaign manager. Here is David Ehrenberg. He was at the time, and he may still be, the state attorney here in Palm Beach County. He held a press conference to announce his office's decision not to file charges against Lewandowski for battery against the former Breitbart reporter Michelle Fields. This is a portion of what he said.
Miss Fields was directed to the back of the room along with other members of the media. After initially complying with the directive, Miss Fields returned to the pathway area and walked directly alongside Mr. Trump, attempting to ask questions of him. It appears, based on the freeze frames from the video recording and an independent photograph taken by a Washington Post photographer, that Miss Fields brushed or touched Mr. Trump's arm. He then appears to react to Miss Fields by pulling his arm back and away from her.
Right.
At which time Mr. Lewandowski reached forward and grabbed Miss Fields' arm, pulling her away from Mr. Trump.
That's right. Lewandowski was acting kind of like a Secret Service agent. That's what, that video got misrepresented. But anyway, it was the state attorney, Palm Beach County. That was April 14th of 2016 over in West Palm Beach. Here's what's got them all scared, folks. Headline, Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg admitted to hospital after fracturing 3 ribs in a fall. Leftists are actually calling the hospital, offering their own ribs and their own organs if she needs them to keep going. I'm not kidding.
And now, Andy Griffith for Obamacare.
1965. A lot of good things came out that year, like Medicare. And now we got us Obamacare. And this year, just like always, you're going to have your guaranteed benefits right up until the time you get sick. So all you old angry white folks out there joining the tea parties and protesting and all, just calm down and be a good cracker. Good cracker. Tell them the new rules, Barney. Well, you see, it's like this. Here in Washington, everybody has to play by the rules. And we've developed a rule book just for you there at home. 62,528 new rules to help you through the process of healthcare in an orderly, organized fashion. Rule number 1. There are no peanut butter and jelly sandwiches allowed in any hospital, day or night, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Rule number 2. If any named insured of a qualified plan gets sick, he or she must fill out request form 24/7.
For more information on Obamacare and how it affects those 65 and older, just get sick and you'll find out.
And we're back. Rush Limbaugh here on the cutting edge of societal evolution. Telephone number is 800-282-2882. All right, breaking news. Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg admitted to the hospital after fracturing 3 ribs in a fall. She was taken to George Washington Hospital this morning. According to a court spokesman, Ginsburg has fractured 3 ribs in the fall. And, tests show that she fractured 3 ribs on the left side. Now, Ruth Ginsburg has survived several fights with cancer. She had heart surgery in 2014, according to CNBC. She has beaten pancreatic and colon cancer. Beating pancreatic cancer is a big deal. Pancreatic cancer and both colon cancer, too, are 2 of the deadliest forms. And you remember they had, shortly around the nomination of Gorsuch and after that, Kavanaugh, remember the left put out this video of the RBG workout? The Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg. It looked like, I'm having a mental block, what you call it, when you shadow box out there, you kickbox. Anyway, they had her out there doing that stuff, and they said, when they put it out, that mere mortals couldn't hope to keep up with her. That you and me, we wouldn't be able to last a minute doing the Ruth Bader Ginsburg workout. And they had about 2 seconds of it. 2 seconds of video where it looked like she was shadow boxing. Women are fascinated by boxing. I have found. They sit there and they go through the motions, and that's what she was doing. And now, apparently, young people under 30, are offering RBG their own ribs on social media and whatever organs that she might need. I am not making this up. This is a McClatchy news story. There's a tweet out there. I love how every person of the age of 30 on Twitter is currently offering Ruth Buzzy Ginsburg their ribs and any other internal organ that she might need. Well, they know. I mean, they know what's up. Now, the firing of Jeff Sessions. No, I haven't forgotten it. I haven't, and we're going to get to it. It's right up next in the stack. But there's some things that I want to focus on first. We're going to go to your phone calls here today in this hour. Didn't get to do that yesterday because of the press conference. But I think this is a This is one of these stories. You're not going to hear it anywhere else. You're not going to see cable. You might see an obscure cable news panel discussion on this on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning. But I think this story here is really, really zeroing in on what the left is really, really thinking about here. And they would be thinking about this regardless the outcome of the election. But this election particularly, it has refocused them. And it's coming from the media. It's coming from an NBC reporter. And I'm telling you, the media today, there's no difference in them and left-wing political strategists and hacks, activists, you name it. They aren't really journalists, as that whole press conference yesterday indicated. NBC News intelligence and national security reporter Ken Dilanian is openly wondering how much longer the American majority will tolerate being pushed around by a rural minority. Now, this all got kicked off by a tweet from somebody. And the tweet was this: Senate popular vote, Democrats 40,500,000, which is 55%. Republicans 31 million, 31.5. So we're looking here at the Democrats in this way of looking at things, with basically a 9 or 8 million more votes advantage. Let me start again, since there are a lot of numbers and it's confusing. Here's the tweet. Democrats, I'm going to round the number, 40 million votes for 55%. Republicans, 31 million votes for 43%. And yet the Republicans pick up 3 seats in the Senate. And this guy, whoever sent this tweet, somebody named Mark Kopalovich, is outraged. Now, this is a great illustration of how pathetic the education about our country is, how literally pathetic the education about our Constitution is. And I'm telling you, it is a flashpoint, and it is a danger. We have people in the media who do not know history. They have not been told the truth about various historical things, and they certainly haven't been taught the Constitution. They have not been taught the founding doctrine. They have been taught to hate it. They've been taught to question it. They have been taught that the Constitution is deficient because it limits government too much, and only government should have power because government is benevolent, government's good, government's this or that. They haven't the slightest idea the basis on which this country was founded. They haven't been told. They are totally ill-educated. They've been lied to. They have been propagandized by a leftist faculty. And I'm going to tell you, the focus of all of this liberalism that is coming of age can be traced right back to classroom after classroom after classroom in high school and college. That is where young minds are being filled with a bunch of BS. It is where young skulls full of mush are being propagandized, radicalized, and lied to. It is how you have somebody thinking that the popular vote for Senate by party matters. It's irrelevant. The Senate was specifically designed. The Founding Fathers designed gridlock. The Founding Fathers were highly suspicious of government because they understood human nature and they understood the human quest for power. They were fleeing what they thought were the worst aspects of the human quest for power. They were fleeing a monarch. They were fleeing a tyrannical king in Britain. They founded something completely opposite. They founded a government for the first time in the history of humanity that limited the government's reach and power over citizens. There isn't a document like it in the world. Magna Carta is in the 1500s comes the closest, and it was a forerunner. But there isn't a founding document, an organizing document like the U.S. Constitution anywhere, which limits the government while promoting individual American citizen freedom and liberty. That has not been taught. The way I just described our Constitution, that's not the way it's been taught. The Constitution to people now in their 30s and 40s and younger, and some in their 50s now, the Constitution has been taught as a document that's no longer relevant for its time, a document that was deficient from the beginning, a document that endorsed slavery, they say, a document that put too little faith in government, a document that did not give government enough power. This is what's been taught. They've been taught that we need a new Bill of Rights spelling out what government can do. They haven't been taught. You can call it conservatism or liberalism, it doesn't matter. They have not been taught the truth of the Constitution. They have not been taught the truth of the Declaration or even the reason for the founding of this country. Some of them might even believe that the real purpose of government now is health care for everybody. They might actually believe that's the purpose. Because this is just flat out absurd to start comparing the popular vote totals for Senate and complaining here that the Democrats got jobbed because they got a total of 9 million more votes than Republicans did. It's exactly how it's supposed to work. It's exactly how the Senate was designed. Every state has 2 senators, regardless of population. In the Senate, no state has any more power than any other state. In the House, that's not true. In the House, California and New York have more representatives than Rhode Island or Vermont or Missouri. But in the Senate, it's equal. It doesn't matter if a state has 5 people alive in it. They're going to get 2 senators. The reasons for this are multi-purpose and can be found in the Federalist Papers, which are the founders writing their reasoning for what they did in the Constitution. It's a loose definition of the Federalist Papers. It is exactly for this purpose here. We now see this election is a great illustration. Yeah, because there were protections, even though this is a majority country. It is a majority rule country. It's not a democracy. A democracy is pure majority rule. Let me give you an example of democracy. You have 7 people in your group. 5 men, 2 women. Somebody puts forth a motion. I propose that sexual abuse of women be legalized. Okay, let's vote. The 5 men say aye. The 2 women say no. Guess what happens? Sexual abuse has just been legalized. That is a democracy. That cannot happen in the United States. But it shouldn't, because we have a representative republic where minorities in that kind of situation are protected, even though it's a majority rule country. And so the minority of state populations, the people that live in less populated states, have just as much representation in the Senate as anybody else in any other state. By design, it is to mitigate and to be a check and balance on the makeup of the House. It's why senators sit for 6 years. Every member of the House has to run for re-election every 2. None of this is taught anymore. And this is elementary. This is basic. And none of this is taught. Instead, we have people like Maud Behar on The View, which is watched by millions of women in this country who are being lied to and misinformed in their own right by watching that stupid show, who is explaining the reason the Democrats lost the Senate is because of Republican gerrymandering. And by the way, the correct pronunciation is gerrymandering. It's named after a guy named Gary, who first, Gerry, who first started manipulating this. Anyway, there is no gerrymandering in the states. It's in the Senate, it's not possible, it's not necessary, because every state gets 2 of them. There are no districts in the states for senators. Both senators represent the whole state. Maud Behar is clueless. And everybody else on her panel going, yay, because it sounded good. It was embarrassingly stupid. And here comes this guy, Ken Dilanian, who knows what he's been taught, but he is an intelligence and national security reporter. You think this guy's been lied to for the past 2 years about the Trump collusion with Russia story? And you think he's bought everything he's been lied to about? I'll guarantee you he's bought it. Another thing it's not taught in journalism school or anywhere else today is curiosity. Journalists are taught obedience. They're taught obedience to the left, obedience to Democrats, obedience to government. And they are taught radical opposition to anything else. So it doesn't matter that the Democrats got 40 million votes total and the Republicans 31. It doesn't matter. It matters where those votes were. So now he's running around. This is not fair. We have more people and they still won the Senate. It's not fair. It's not right. How long is it going to be before we keep putting up with you stupid idiots in these red states? This is an effervescing movement, folks. These leftists think the system is screwing them. They think they're being cheated. They haven't the slightest idea how this is designed and how it is working as designed. I remember the days when the drive-bys in the Democrat Party used to pretend to be concerned about protecting the rights of minorities. But now, rural minorities, you're not worth jack, and we don't give a jack about you. Yeah, this would be a good time to squeeze in the first phone call. Folks, this is really crucial. This is not taught. The stuff I told you, I was taught every bit of this by the time I finished junior high school. And probably many of you were too. The way the Senate works, why it's designed the way it is, the way the House works and so forth. It's scary. Our country cannot survive this kind of widespread ignorance, which is what this is, mal-education, young kids being lied to about this country and what it was, why it was founded, and how it operates. We can't survive. This kind of, we have like this guy at NBC News. This is a tough job to get, and he's an idiot. He's an educated idiot. I don't know. It's people that don't understand how this stuff works used to not be able to get jobs like this. Here's Sean in San Diego. Sean, I'm glad you called. Great to have you with us.
Hey, thank you so much for taking my call. I've listened to you for a long time, and I'm real happy to finally get through here from the left coast. We're not all crazy out here.
Oh, I know. I know.
Well, hey, I wanted to call in regards to the so-called discrepancy in Senate vote numbers. You say there's about a 9 million vote discrepancy, right?
Yes.
Between the total Democrats and Republicans. Well, in California, we only could vote for Democrats this time around. And rough math, that was about 6.3 million votes that really shouldn't be taken into the consideration of that entire total. So
wait, because there weren't any Republican senators running?
No, well, our jungle primary here only allowed us to vote for the two front runners, which were both Democrats.
Oh yeah, like Feinstein and Kevin DeLeon. 2 Democrats is the only choice they had in California. It's an excellent point. So he's a Republican. He had no prayer. How do we factor that in? Isn't that unfair, folks? Look, Sean, that's a great point. Glad you reminded me of that.
To be said. Rush.
Here you go. Grab soundbite number 20. I want you to hear this. This was yesterday morning on The View, which is a gab fest by and for people who don't know anything. And I'm not trying to be funny when I say that, and I'm not even trying to be insulting. It is genuinely frightening the degree to which our education system has literally dumbed people down while making them believe they have been made geniuses. That is funny. All of these people think that they are flat out geniuses, and they've been lied to most of their educational lives. They've been propagandized from days of their youth. Now they've become radicalized with it, and they literally have no idea of the founding of this country. And it could be even worse than that. They might have been taught the truth of the founding, while then told that it was all racist and bigoted and a bunch of white privileged, white majority people setting up a system for only themselves and their people the rest of their days, blah, 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 blah. The end of the day, way too many young people have been flat out lied to about this country. And it's why we have arguments over the greatness of America. It's why we have arguments over the concept of American exceptionalism. It's why you can end up electing a president like Barack Obama who believes the United States is the problem in the world. Imagine. The United States is not the solution. The United States is the problem. The American military, the focus of evil in the modern world, because we can project all of this unfair, tyrannical, dictatorial power. It's really scary. I don't know what you do about it. We don't have the education system. It's why God bless these people that are homeschooling. They are, in many cases, doing the Lord's work. Now, listen to this. This is The View. This is the show of Maud Behar and Whoopi Goldberg, and the audience is made up of the same kind of people. They may be fine people. They just don't know what they haven't been taught. They don't know that what they have been taught is wrong, and they are arrogant in their ignorance at the same time. So here's a discussion. Matthew Dowd, a former analyst, a former campaign strategist for the Bush family. He was in the George W. Bush administration, but when W left, this guy's gone far left. He's now a radical leftist analyst on ABC News, and here he is.
In 2016, we had a split decision. Trump takes the Electoral College, geography. Hillary Clinton wins the popular vote. Last night was an even bigger example of that. So Democrats won the popular vote last night by 8 million votes, right? They lose, but they lose U.S. Senate races in red areas.
Because of gerrymandering, a lot of it.
Well, that's not that's the Constitution.
So there she is, Maud Behar. It's gerrymandering. It's said with such confidence, with such know-it-all arrogance. It's gerrymandering, a lot of it, because of gerrymandering, a lot of it. And Dowd, who knows, makes him really, he knows what all this is. He knows he's reciting here a bunch of meaningless stuff. I mean, how many times, if you wanted to go back in U.S. history, how many times has this happened? It's probably a lot. But we never measure the popular vote in the Senate. It's absurd. It's never been done until now. And it's being used as a talking point. But even he says, it's not gerrymandering, it's the Constitution. Oh, so there's something wrong with the Constitution, too. See? Folks, I'm just warning you. I am not making it up when I tell you these people someday are going to suggest that elections are the problem, and it's going to be using data like this. Well, what good are elections when 8 million more people vote for Democrats and yet the Republicans still win? And then throughout the country with other ill-educated people, they start, yeah, that's right. That's not fair. That's not fair. The Democrats got 8 million more votes and the Republicans went. That's not fair. It's over. When it isn't fair, then you radicalize a bunch of people on the unfairness of America. And how the minorities The minorities are bossing the majority around here. These rural, hayseed Republican hicks are telling us who won and lost. It's going to get very fascinating to watch. And it's all coming because people have been lied to about America and its founding. Okay, we did the mob showing up outside Tucker Carlson's house, ordering him to leave. Oh, you didn't hear it? Oh, okay. A left-wing mob showed up outside Tucker Carlson's house Wednesday night. They posted pictures of his address online. They demanded that he flee the city of Washington. He wasn't there. He was at the Fox News studios when the crowd showed up outside of his house. One of the protesters, this is not protesters, these are home invaders. See how that works? They're not mobs. They're protesters. Right. These were not mobs. They were protesters. They protested Tucker Carlson. He was perfectly fine. Protested TV guy by walking all the way up to his front door. They left a sign with his family's home address written on it, rang the doorbell. A video from the group Smash Racism DC posted to Twitter shows one of the mob's ringleaders leading the crowd in chants, "Racist scumbag, leave town. Tucker Carlson, we will fight. We know where you sleep at night. No walls, no borders, no USA at all." That's their chant. No borders, no walls, no USA at all. That's a chant that was seen in another video posted to Twitter. Now, it used to be these people were radical fringe. These are now mainstream Democrat Party. No borders, no walls, no USA. In fact, you know what? That's the Democrat Party platform in a nutshell. No borders, no walls, no USA at all. It's also the Communist Party platform for the USA. No borders, no walls, no USA. Soviet communists would love there to be no USA, as would the Chi-Coms in China love there to be no USA. The group posted a picture of their sign with the Carlson family's address on it to Twitter. Tucker Carlson, you cannot hide from the people you hurt with your rhetoric, your lies, and your hate. That's another thing. Anything that you say that they disagree with is defined as hate. Twitter removed the videos and tweet with Carlson's address last night after an inquiry from the Daily Caller News Foundation. The left-wing group's Twitter account was suspended shortly after midnight on Thursday, but Twitter had to be called out by conservative media before they acted on this. They were perfectly fine with it until somebody raised hell. DC Antifa publishes home address of Tucker Carlson and his brother, as well as Ann Coulter, Neil Patel, and Sean Hannity. Now, in addition to that, over on PMSNBC, show called Deadline, former Justice Department spokesman Matt Miller. Who was he a spokesman for? I'll tell you, he was a spokesman for Holder. And Matt Miller, former Justice Department spokesman, PR guy, for Eric Holder, said that people should take to the streets over Trump removing Jeff Sessions and appointing Matthew Whitaker as acting attorney general. So this guy, Matt Miller, was Holder's spokesman when Holder was the AG. That gives us a window into the mindset of a bunch of people on the left. Matt Miller said the timing of this, meaning getting rid of Sessions, is so suspect because we're so close to the end of the Mueller investigation. Whitaker coming in right now might be at the critical time to stop the key steps that need to happen, indictments or referral to Congress and taking place. I really do think this is a national emergency, he said. I don't think we can overstate the gravity of this, and it's incumbent upon everybody in public life to respond to this like it's an emergency. The Attorney General's being fired, being asked to leave. It is perfectly constitutional. And yet the left is running around talking about a constitutional crisis. They still believe that Robert Mueller has evidence that Trump colluded with Russia. And they think that Trump is getting rid of Sessions so that Trump can put somebody in there who's going to shut this down, so that the truth about Trump stealing the election doesn't come out. That is what they believe. Mr. Miller said, this isn't like all the other Trump attempts to interfere with the investigation. He's reached over and he's found the one person among dozens of political appointees at the Justice Department who has a preordained hostility, publicly stated hostility to the investigation. That'd be Whitaker, who is the interim attorney general. And it's simply a lie. And the media is going to repeat that until they think it'll convince the public that they're true. Whitaker has repeatedly stood up for Mueller's integrity. But they're out there saying this guy, he did question the scope of the investigation and the way it was put together because there's no crime. The Mueller investigation is bogus on a whole lot of levels. But they don't want it shut down because they really do. They think Mueller's on the verge of finally getting rid of Trump. They think Mueller is really dignified. He could have done this before the midterms, and he could have really nailed the Republican Party. But Mueller is a dignified, he's a true blue great American. He did not want to impact the outcome of an election, but he's got they do think that Mueller has got what they haven't been able to find. And they think Trump's going to shut it down. They think Trump getting rid of Sessions means that it's only a matter of time before Mueller is fired or shut down. John Brennan, CI director for Obama, warns that there is a constitutional crisis coming very, very soon because of this. He also was on PMSNBC, said the firing of Sessions shows the U.S. may be facing a constitutional crisis very soon. You know what the constitutional crisis has been? The constitutional crisis has been the ongoing, approaching now 2-year effort, the highest levels of the Department of Justice and the FBI to meddle in the 2016 election. Not the Russians, but James Comey and Peter Strzok and Andrew McCabe and all the rest of those people. Lisa Page. All of the spies they embedded in the Trump campaign, Hillary Clinton paying for the dossier that was then treated as legitimate intel when it wasn't, to go get a FISA warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. That's meddling in the 2016 election. That's trying to keep Trump from winning it. That's trying to make sure that Hillary won the damn thing. And then after Trump won, the operation continued in an effort to overthrow Trump and get him thrown out of office because they refused to accept the result of the election. That's the meddling that's going on. The constitutional crisis has been this ongoing silent coup that is still underway for 2 years to destroy the candidacy and then the transition and then the presidency of Donald Trump. That's where the Constitution has been threatened. That's where the Constitution has been in crisis. Firing the Attorney General is a constitutional crisis? Let me tell you something. Donald Trump would be stupid not to get a wartime team to be able to help him out because they have made no bones what they have planned. Have you heard have you heard that there was somebody on the train with Jerry Nadler? He runs one of the committees in the House. They run together in my mind, but he's got maybe Judiciary. It's what's his face? Adam Schiff, Pencilneck has the Intelligence Committee, replaces Devin Nunes as the chairman. But Nadler was on the phone on the train. He was overheard. They're gonna investigate Kavanaugh all over again. They're gonna go out and find even more women. They're gonna investigate and impeach Trump. They're gonna just never. The next 2 years are nothing but never-ending investigations. And Jerry Nadler, head of a committee, was overheard talking about this. Trump would be silly not to get prepared for this. Judiciary. That's what a Judiciary Committee. Jerry Nadler from New York. I mean, they're telegraphing what they're going to do. And you got Maxine Waters out there, wherever the hell she is, promising much the same. I have to take a break, and we're going to come back and hit the phones. Rush Limbaugh, the EIB network, back before you know it, so hang on. Jeff Sessions, it's funny. Remember Eric Holder? How about during the confirmation? How about during the confirmation of Sessions as Attorney General? You remember all those Democrats telling us that Sessions should not be confirmed because he is a racist? Remember all of the mocking of Sessions because his middle name was Beauregard? Yeah, I think even Maud Behar was laughing at Sessions because his name was Beauregard, and she would say, "We all know what somebody with the middle name Beauregard is, don't we? Ha, ha, ha. Jefferson Beauregard Sessions." And they were making mock jokes about how this guy may well just still be a slave owner. And if he isn't, he must admire him. He's a now all of a sudden a constitutional crisis if this guy is let go. Now, Holder's spokesman wants people to riot in the streets because Trump removes him. I mean, even by the left's hypocritical standards, this is pretty nuts. You get people like Pocahontas Warren out there tweeting what a rotten choice Sessions was because he's a dumb racist, and now saying that it is a constitutional crisis to let him go. See, they know that the drive-by media is not going to be the ones to remember things they said about Sessions when they hated him. They know they're never going to be called out on this hypocrisy. Back to the phones, Londonderry, New Hampshire. This is Patty. Great to have you with us. Hi.
Hi, Rush. This is a thrill to talk to you. I'm so excited. I wanted to talk about my older two millennial kids, about how they were brainwashed through the education system.
All right. How old are they now?
30 and 28. And then my youngest is a freshman in college. And luckily, I started listening to you. I was always a Republican, but never paid attention to politics. And February before the election, I was scrolling through the radio, and I happened upon your show, and I thought, I agree with everything you said. So since then, my son and me and my husband, who was a Democrat and now converted, listen to you every day. And so I was telling my oldest, who went to graduate school for journalism, about how we started listening to you, and I knew that he was leaning liberal, and he said that he was taught in graduate school that you were just an entertainer and used techniques to convince your audience. And I, of course, know that that's not true, but I feel like it's going to be hard to get through to him. And then my daughter, who is also millennial, she was in graduate school as well. And not only was she brainwashed by listening to the late-night comedians every single day, that I never realized they were brainwashing her, and through social media, but I didn't know much about global warming. And one day I said to my daughter, did you know that Rush said that climate change might not be a real thing? And she said, well, my professors give me assignments based on climate change. Why would they do that if it's not real? So I was just wondering, I feel like it's hopeless to convince them, and they become angry if we even talk about politics at all. And Trump supporters.
I often put myself in positions like yours, imagining if I had kids and this happened, how would I deal with it? And I talk to parents all the time who seem to have lost control of what their kids believe. They've lost control of the values that they were raised with, and they've lost control of whatever the politics of the household were. But then there are some families where that hasn't happened. I know a bunch of families, 4 kids, 5 kids, and they are all have remained immune to the onslaught that they have faced in school. Like I can sympathize with your plight. You're up against it. You're the parent. You know, you're always wrong. The professors, like your daughter, so why would they teach us this if it weren't true? So you have to come back and describe who the professors are, that they're actually a bunch of propagandists, and you can imagine that wouldn't fly with your daughter, so it's a challenging thing, but it's going to have to happen somewhere, somehow. Want to hear a little bit of this? Been in the bumper rotation here about a year and a half. This is Gil Scott-Heron. I don't know the title because I don't listen to the words. Greetings and welcome back. Well, I know the title of most of them, but not this one. I don't have it. I can look at. What is it? Oh, that's right. Me and the Devil. You know where I first heard that song? It was being used in a dramatic scene in a TV show, How to Get Away with Murder. And, of course, it was a story about racial discrimination at the Supreme Court, and this song was playing as final arguments or oral arguments were being contemplated. The last caller, the mother of millennials. I have long thought about this. I don't have children, and I don't talk about it much, folks, but I mean, if I were asked questions about it, I might answer them. But I've just always thought of myself as too selfish. I have wanted the freedom to give this career everything it had. If I had to move to outer Slobovia, if I had to work for 2 years at minimum wage, I didn't want distracting pressures, and as such, I thought that my parenting might not be all that hot. And I've never been one of these people compelled to have kids and drop my seed all over the country anyway. I don't have that kind of an ego. As such, I've missed some experiences that many of you have had, and all I can do is try to relate to them. And one of those is malcontent, renegade, disloyal, off the reservation crumb crunchers. If I had kids that went away to school and came back communists, I'd be loaded for bear. And I hear parents talk about things that happen at their schools that I would no more put up with, but they do, because they're afraid to confront anybody at the school for fear that the recriminations will be taken out on their kids. I'll give you one of the best examples I have ever heard, and I'm sure that this is nothing compared to some of your own, but a history class that isn't history. It's current events taught by a female professor. This is in high school, and all it was a daily rip into George W. Bush. When it came time for history tests, the teacher gave the students the answers. She hadn't taught history at all. It was a daily running commentary. It was MSNBC in the classroom. It was CNN in the classroom. The kids loved it because they never had to learn anything. She gave them the answers for the test so that they would ace them, so that she would look good as a professor. And they would come home, the kids would come home, and they would tell their parents this was what's going on in this class. And the parents, oh my God, this is horrible. But they were afraid to out the teacher for fear the teacher would give their kid an F. One of the parents went to the principal. What happened? They took it out on the kids anyway. I mean, sure. Okay, well, teacher got reprimanded, didn't know which student complained, but it didn't change anything. So some parents do take action, some don't. But that's probably very common in classrooms all over the country, where you have activists who go to college to become teachers. They come out, they get their classes, history, whatever it is, and then they start propagating because they're filled with hate themselves. The teachers are angry. As human beings, they've been taught anger. They've been taught outrage. They've been taught community organizing. I mean, that's who's gone into education. It's sort of like what's happened to the Catholic Church, although that's a different kind of infiltration that's taken place there. In public education, you have a bunch of leftists who have gone in there for the express purpose of poisoning the minds of young kids while they're away from their parents. Now, as I say, if I had kids and that had happened, I wouldn't give a rat's rear end what happened to the kid. I would take it up with the school, and I would not stop until I got a satisfactory explanation for what was going to happen, because my kid's there to learn history, not what this stupid teacher thinks about George W. Bush. I'll take care of that at home. But man, there's fear. I understand parental fear, fear of the authorities in school, fear of the authorities on the school board. So I hear these stories, kids come home and they believe all this crazy stuff. And especially if it is in direct opposition to the way you've raised your kids. You know, that's your job as a parent. It's your prerogative. Now, not every parent takes that seriously. Some parents couldn't care less. Send the kid on. The more they're out of the home, the better. The less time the kids need parents spending time with them. But parents who take seriously raising their kids and inculcating certain values, including political, and then send them away to school, have them unwound and diluted and so forth. It's not their right to do that. That's not what they're there for, but it happens. And so your kid comes home and it's happened to you. You've done your best. You've done everything you can to raise your kid. And I'm not talking conservative values. I'm just talking about the morality that you have, the version of decency and humanity that you have, that you've tried to raise your kids with. And your kids come home and you find out that what you've attempted to teach them is being unwound and unraveled. And you don't know what to do about it, because kids are kids and they rebel. And kids, for the most part, think their parents are oddballs and kooks, like they never want to go to the movies with it. Don't, Mom, please, don't. If you're going to take me to the school, drop me off 2 blocks away so they won't see you drop me off or any of that. In fact, Mom, give me my own car so I don't have to worry about you driving, this kind of thing. Well, I've often thought that if I were in that situation, and I wouldn't have any trouble at all taking this young skull full of mush of mine and wiping that propaganda out of their head. But then they go back to school the next day and the same thing happens over and over again. So then I ask myself, well, how come it doesn't work on every kid? Why do some kids remain immune to the efforts to propagandize them, and why do others fall for it? Now, our last caller from Londonderry, New Hampshire, said something key. She said one of her sons went to graduate journalism school. Now, I'm here to tell you, if you have a kid that's going to go to journalism school, you are going to lose them. The whole point of journalism is to promote left-wing and liberal activism, disguised as something else. It always has been. Today, journalism is not taught concomitant with history. And I don't know how you can do that. I don't know how you can teach good journalism skills without providing an historical perspective, but it isn't done. History is rewritten, it's revised. And elements of the past that liberals hate, disagree with, those things are demonized as part of journalism school. But I was reading something the other day where a prominent journalist in tech got into a little cat fight with another journalist in tech. Tech reporting, technology journalism. And one of the two women explained her role as a journalist. And I'd heard this before. There are other words for this, but this is exactly what it is. To afflict the comfortable and to comfort the afflicted. Now, there are many ways that you can explain that. Speaking truth to power. But what it means is that journalists are there to make sure that anybody with any power over anybody else doesn't get away with it, is investigated, is destroyed, it's a quest to sort of equalize power. The whole idea of afflicting the comfortable, meaning there's something obviously we need to find out. If somebody's successful, if somebody is happy somebody's succeeding, we've got to find out how they've cheated. We've got to find out how they're using people. And that is what, in a modified generic sense, journalism was. But now, leftists in power are nothing but comforted. They are not investigated. They are not exposed. They are not suspected. And everybody on the right is, whether they are successful or not. So journalism is no longer about afflicting the comfortable in any way, shape, manner, form, if we're talking about other Democrats or leftists or what have you. It's about promoting them and comforting them while afflicting those who aren't leftists or Democrats or what have you. Now, in the old days, before journalism, and you got to go like a long way before it became so expressly tied with Democrat politics and liberalism, journalism really was a quest to destroy the powerful, under the premise that the powerful have obviously done something they don't want anybody to know to get the power. And they continue to do things they don't want anybody to know. And that's why I always made a joke. If you're a young journalist in, take your pick, medium market, small market America, and you want to get noticed by the big guys, do a profile on somebody in your town and destroy them. Or take an industry and destroy it, or try to. Take something powerful and big and successful and damage it. And that's how it's looked. And today, the enemy is anybody not on the left. They are the ones who must be damaged, destroyed, afflicted, or what have you. And that's what's taught in journalism school and how to do it. The use of certain words, the use of certain phrases to describe certain kinds of people. It's formulaic, and they are cookie cutters. Journalism graduates largely think, feel, operate identically. It's why you don't need a memo to instruct them how to describe Dick Cheney. They got out of journalism school hating people like Dick Cheney or Donald Trump. Or take your pick. So if you have a kid going to journalism school, if it's graduate journalism school, you're going to lose them forever, and you're never going to get them back. Ever. And I'm a little long. A brief timeout. Back with more after this.
After they make...
And back to the phones we go. This is Ralph in Islamorada, Florida. It's great to have you. This is where they shot the show Bloodlines on, well, I don't know if they shot it. Well, they did. They shot some of it down there. I used to pronounce this Islamorada before I was publicly, humiliatingly corrected. I even almost did just now, but it's Islamorada, and it's Ralph. It's great to have you here, sir. How are you doing?
Mr. Limbaugh, thank you for taking my call. Greatly appreciated.
You bet, sir.
Just something real quick on parenting. You consider us listeners your children. You are awesome. To my other point, I'm talking to my 13-year-old daughter a couple of days ago about voting, and she had brought up, yeah, we all voted Democrat side in school. I said, what? And I asked her what she used as a resource to determine her choices. She goes, well, we watch CNN, MSNBC, and something called Smart Vote online. I said, you don't listen, and I did bring up Rush Limbaugh first, and One America is another great news organization who does a tremendous job. And she goes, no. I said, you got to be kidding me. I was blown away, Rush. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
Wait.
Wait. You were to the school board.
Wait, you were really surprised that your daughter's school did not expose her to anything other than liberal news organizations?
Well, I'm not surprised that they tried to push it on her. I'm surprised that she chose to take the bait that they're putting out there, especially when we're in the car. I'm listening to you. She's listening with me. I'm always watching America One on TV, One America, or Fox. Even Fox lately has been getting kind of iffy. But in listening to you mostly, and I was just blown away that her whole ticket was Democratic. And I said, you can't go by those resources only. Use various resources to determine. And I'm just blown away that she chose that and how they are
she's
brainwashing our children.
You said she's 13. How did she react to you saying that to her?
She goes, well, Trump lies a lot. I said, lying about what? Give me a precise reason. Give me a lie that he's saying. You know, about illegal immigration. She bring up health care. I said, no. You listen to Rush for 1 week, you watch One America on TV for a week, and then you tell me if your choices would still be the same.
Now, wait a minute now.
To do that.
Wait just a minute here. I want to make sure I'm hearing what I think I'm hearing. You have a 13-year-old daughter, and she came home from a voting exercise and tells you she voted Democrat and then gives you the sources. You asked her why, and she said, well, Trump lies all the time. Is that something she said? Did I hear you right there?
That's what they told her.
That's my point. Okay, so you've got a teacher telling your daughter and other students that the president of the United States lies all the time.
Yep.
Now, I'm trying to think. I'm sitting here trying to, when I was 13, what is that, 7th grade? About then. I don't remember that kind of thing being said by a teacher to me. Even in high school there. Well, I take it back. I did have one history professor who happened to love Wendell Willkie and did tell us in the class how she thinks or thought that he got screwed and shafted. But that's exactly what I'm saying. You've got a teacher tell your 13-year-old student, your daughter, that Trump lies all the time. I don't know what that's exactly the kind of thing that you have to find a way to. That's the big thing about what your daughter told you, in addition to the sources. But the teachers that Trump lies, and she comes home and tells you that. Okay, I mentioned this earlier. I want to run through the details of this. Molly Hemingway has it from the Federalist.com. Incoming Democrat chairman, quote, Democrats will go all in on Russia, impeaching Kavanaugh for perjury. Molly Hemingway of the Federalist was commuting yesterday. She was on a train. Liberals love trains, except when right-wingers are riding them. And Jerry Nadler, the former 400-pound chairman of whatever, now he's down to what, 200. Lost a lot of weight out there. It's like somebody stuck a pin in a balloon. He did, lost a lot of weight out there. He's the incoming chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. He was sitting close to her, and he was talking very loudly on his phone. He wanted to be heard. I don't know that he recognized her, but he wanted to be heard. I mean, this guy, have you ever been on a plane or a phone and somebody thinks they're really hot stuff, and they start being very, very loud about who they're talking to? That's supposed to impress you, or what they're saying, that's supposed to impress you, who they are supposed to impress. That's what he was doing. We all have been irritated by people like that. These are basically insecure people who want to be stars, want to be thought of as recognizable stars. So he's out there, he's making it plain as day who he is. And he's not trying to hide any of it. He wants to be overheard. Here's just one pull quote. Nadler said the Russia investigations would be under a broad umbrella of holding Trump accountable, since it's a more palatable argument than impeachment. Said they'd be going all in, and much of what they get to would be depending on what Robert Mueller finds. And do not doubt me, they think Mueller, they still do, they think Mueller has the goods, that Trump colluded with Russia. Do not doubt me on that. Still, he said the Judiciary Committee would only be in a supportive role to Adam Schiff and the Intelligence Committee, which has a very way head start on that. Still, he said Judiciary will have a role in the Russia investigation. He revealed plans for House Democrats to investigate and impeach Brett Kavanaugh for perjury and to investigate and impeach President Trump for alleged treasonous collusion with Russia. In post-election chats with various callers while riding the Acela train from New York to Washington, Nadler gave advice to a newly elected representative and discussed potential 2020 Democrat presidential nominees with another. He lamented identity politics and the thriving economy. He lamented the thriving economy. He worried about Democrats losing working-class voters while gaining elite former Republicans and suburban women. Why would he be worried about losing working-class voters while gaining elite former Republicans and suburban women? Who are these elite Republicans? Oh, these are the never-Trumpers. He's really of the opinion that the never-Trumpers are going to finally just go all in and become Democrats and voice open support for Democrat politicians' policies because they hate Trump. Nadler was headed to Washington for a 2-day planning session with his staff. He says, "We got to figure out what we're doing," he explained in a phone call. Nadler requested that the friend's name be concealed on the grounds he's a private citizen. So he wanted to be overheard, and he's telling the journalists, "You don't tell anybody here who I'm talking to." So Nadler and his friend discussed 2 routes for investigating Kavanaugh. The first is to go after the FBI for how they handle the investigation into unsubstantiated claims that he sexually assaulted women. Never mind the fact that 2 of the women have come out and admitted they made it all up. But Nadler is going to investigate Kavanaugh for perjury. And then he said of the FBI, they didn't even do a half-assed job. They didn't interview 30 witnesses who said, "Interview me, I've got a lot to say." Because they probably figured out they were not witnesses, just a bunch of lying activists. Remember, the purpose of the FBI investigation was not an investigation. The reason the Democrats on the Judiciary Committee and the Senate wanted the FBI to investigate, that was how they were going to get rid of Kavanaugh. They were going to go out and confirm what Ballsy Ford was saying. It blew up in their faces, which is what makes this kind of comical, except it isn't comical because they're still going to be gunning for Kavanaugh. Now, I know we'll get to whether or not this plays. I mean, I opened the program, the mobs, the home invaders outside Tucker Carlson's house and all these. Is this what people really knowingly wanted to happen? Is this who they really voted for on Tuesday? The Democrats think so. The Democrats think a majority of Americans want these mobs and want these protests and want these home invasions. They think a majority of Americans want all of the illegal immigrants to be granted amnesty and admitted into the country. They think you want that. After they investigate the perjury charges against Kavanaugh, Nadler said his other plan is to go after Kavanaugh because there's a real indication Kavanaugh committed perjury. He claimed that The Atlantic magazine published an article about the allegations of a third woman. Then he claimed that when Kavanaugh was asked at a committee hearing under oath when he first heard of the subject, he said, "When I heard of the Atlantic article." He said, but there's an email chain apparently dating from well before that from Kavanaugh about how can we deal with this. So they think they got Kavanaugh on committing perjury in his testimony before the committee. Nadler was discussing a slightly different claim, though. It's been debunked. That claim was that Kavanaugh perjured himself when he denied hearing of the New Yorker's disputed allegation involving Deborah Ramirez until the story came out. It is so in the weeds. And these people really, really believe that Kavanaugh is this human reprobate who got away with it. The person that Nadler was talking to on the phone, then suggested that impeaching Trump might be worthwhile because the president elected in 2020 could nominate somebody else. Nadler said the problem was that any investigation wouldn't take long enough to last until the presidential election. There are a finite amount of witnesses. I don't see why it would take long at all. We're not talking about a 30-year scheme of getting money from Russians via hidden sources. That was a reference to Democrat beliefs and a dramatic and unsubstantiated theory that Trump conspired with Russia to steal the 2016 election. Nadler promised it would be an avenue that Democrats would pursue vigorously at the launch of the new Congress. But what about, I thought Mueller had been doing that and had the goods. It's going to happen under the broad umbrella of holding Trump accountable, since it's a more palatable argument than impeachment. And they would be going all in, and much of what they get to would be depending on what Mueller finds. Anyway, he was making no effort to hide all of this. He wanted Molly Hemingway to know everything that was going on. Now, let us move on to another area of attack that came up in the drive-by media after the press conference yesterday. During the press conference yesterday, Trump named Republicans who lost by opposing him. He mentioned Mia Love. He mentioned Barbara Comstock. There were a bunch of Republican rhinos who hate Trump, who think they don't like Trump's tweets, they don't like Trump's manners, all that. And they openly ran against Trump in what are considered blue states. They ran in Virginia, other places. And they thought that they would really score some points by beating up on Trump. They ended up losing, and Trump called them out and pointed out if they had been on his team, they would have won, like all these people Trump championed in the Senate. 9 out of 11 candidates that Trump supported won. And in the process in the Senate, just a big point, gone are a bunch of I hate Trump people. Corker's gone, Flake is gone, McCain is gone. The replacements are people that are going to owe their elections to Donald Trump and who like him to begin with. Josh Hawley in Missouri is an example. But they think Trump was behaving like Mussolini by calling out these Republicans that didn't support him. They think it's just outrageous what Trump did. This is dangerous. This guy is out of control. It's Hitler-like to be calling out people that didn't support him and like to sound like they're almost being threatened. The Breitbart story here, and I spent a lot of time yesterday explaining to you why I think the Republicans lost the House. And it's if you weren't here yesterday, very briefly, I think a bunch of Republicans decided to retire, 45 of them, because they believe this blue wave crap that the media and the Democrats began spouting in December of 2013. I think many of them are already opposed to Trump. Many of them believed that Trump's election was an oddity, a one-off, and that it was some kind of aberration, and that everybody hated Trump, and that Trump was going to take the Republican Party down to beneath the gutter, and they didn't want to be part of it. Paul Ryan was one of them. I don't want to be here if the Democrats are going to win. And so they retired. And that's 45 incumbent seats that then became open, and it was so unnecessary. Why believe the media? The blue wave stuff, it didn't happen. It wasn't going to happen, but they acted like it was. And I think it was a big, big factor. And at the root of it was a bunch of Republicans that didn't like Trump and didn't think Trump was going to be any good and didn't think Trump was going to do anything other than destroy the Republican Party. They wanted to get out before any of that happened. And, of course, the exact opposite turns out to be true. Having lost the House, Republicans are now more tied to Trump than ever, whether they like it or not. And a bunch of people who quit the House because they thought Trump was going to destroy everything saw Trump promoted and sponsored candidates win over in the Senate. And there were some House races that Trump, mayoral candidates like DeSantis here in Florida. So the Breitbart story, Trump pins down 8 Republicans who resisted his help and lost in 2018. Called out the Republican 2018 midterm election candidates who rejected his help and lost their races. Now, we talked about this yesterday, but I think that Trump did this is fascinating, that he did this. It's a teachable moment here. There isn't anybody else who would have pointed this out and called names. Can you think of any other Republican president after having, say, lost the House would start blaming people by name, saying this wasn't necessary, but they thought they had to oppose me, and look what those things are just not done. But here again, Trump is very simple. He's not complicated. You be nice and fair to me, and I'm going to be nice and fair to you. But if you're going to come out and undermine me, if you're going to rip me to shreds, then I am not going to take it, and I'm going to fire right back at you. And this is not hard for people to figure out. Trump has even said. In fact, one time on this show, he explained that's the way he looks at things. If you were not nice to me in the past, I won't forget that, unless you join me now. If you join me now, I will forget all the mean, negative things about me you've ever done. Now, let me tell you why this was important, if you ask me. By pointing out who lost and why, and by pointing out who won and why, Donald Trump was saying to the entire elected class that he is the path to Republican victory. And I frankly wish there were more. I wish it wasn't all on his shoulders. I wish that the Republicans had some help. Now, this is not to criticize Republicans in the House and Senate who are Trump supporters. I'm not claiming he doesn't have any. I'm claiming it would be great if Trump was not the only guy we could send out. But what he's doing is building his party. It's not his fault that he ends up making people winners. He's being blamed for that by the media and the Democrats and being called Mussolini or Stalin-like, but it isn't his fault that he makes people winners. Because he can make people winners, he's building the Republican Party, and it is Trump's party right now, and boy, do they hate that in elite Beltway establishment circles. I think of those 45 Republicans that retired. I think we could have won half of those or more if any of these Republicans had hung in there, and if just some of them had embraced Trump. I think Barbara Comstock could have won if she would have embraced Trump. But no, it wasn't to be. And we'll never know really for sure, but the evidence is pretty clear that those who did embrace Trump, stood with him, wanted him around, wanted them to help him, they did pretty well. And remember, we're not trying to buy Democrat votes here. This is building the Republican base. There's nobody that works harder than Trump. There's not 33 or 35 of those rallies. I was at the one in Missouri, and that was the third one that day. Trump got there at 8:30, landed at 8:25, got this at 8:45, didn't leave till after 11. What people don't see, when those things are over, you know what Trump does? And you can't avoid it because nobody can leave until he does. If you're backstage in the backstage area, wherever the president is, you can't leave until he does. And when he came off stage after signing autographs there, he immediately went to an area where he was posing for one-on-one photographs with every uniformed police officer that was there, state trooper, security person, anybody working in the arena that was in that segment of it, even if they were concessionaires. He pauses, he took pictures. He was in no hurry to get out. At no time did he make anybody that was anywhere near where he was think he wanted out of there. At no time did he give anybody there the impression he had no time for them. And I know because I was kind of eager to get out of there. I was going to get home late as it was. Look, I've got to take a break here. I'll be back. Glad you called. Great to have somebody in L.A. on the phone with us. Always love that. How are you?
I am great. I am so happy and so proud of you and my president, Donald Trump.
Thank you very much.
And I'm very happy that Jeff Sessions had to hit the road.
Yeah, you know, that whole thing is kind of unfortunate. Jeff Sessions is a fine guy. He just, Senator Graham has been doing great work in there as a senator since he began to walk the path alone. I hate to mention this, but since the passing of Senator McCain, Senator Graham has been a much more fervent supporter of President Trump. That I'm not saying he never has been, but he was deferential to Senator McCain for a while. But since McCain's passing, Senator Graham has been excellent. And I would hate to lose that kind of energy and willingness to use it in the Senate.
Doing the work that the main...
Hey, is there any special occasion going on right now? This is November the 8th. It's a couple days after the election. There's no national holiday going on. I mean, you know what today's perfect for? You know what would be, you know what, you know how you could score some points today? It's just, there are people so panicked about this on the left. Millennials under 30. Now, she's at George Washington University.
Hello and welcome to Coast AM's official YouTube channel. I'm your host, George Norrie. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course, on coasttocoastam.com.
From an undisclosable location, for reasons of security and therefore insecurity, but I will tell you this much, hovering on the electromagnetic wave somewhere over the great state of Texas. Yes, where March 2nd signifies Texas Independence Day, and the expression and slogan and banner, "Come and take it," takes on a new meaning. This is Coast to Coast AM, and welcome to another Saturday night edition. John B. Wells sitting in with you tonight for a program I believe that you will like. We're going to be joined by Brad Barker. He is the president and founder of Halo Corporation, a California-based organization composed of former special ops, national security, and intelligence personnel, specializing in discrete security operations, maritime security, humanitarian assistance, disaster response, and all aspects of security training. Tonight we will discuss with him everything from human trafficking, rescue and extraction, and preparedness for that future, which may extend its lily-white arms to us. Interesting stuff on the coasttocoastam.com website. Third radiation belt discovered around the Earth. Big meteorite discovered in Antarctica. Did UFO hit the Russian meteorite, blasting it to smithereens? And the bizarre eyeball transplant, allowing tadpoles to see out of their tails. Yep, so much for having eyes in the back of your head. Conjures up some interesting possibilities, doesn't it? Now, you may have heard Charles Harrelson's son, Woody Harrelson, has been killed in a car crash in Australia. This is apparently a completely ridiculous, ludicrous, and otherwise false report. Could I just put out an appeal for people who are putting stuff up on the net that is just blatantly and deliberately contrived? We got enough of that already. Please stop doing that. You're not helping anything. You're not helping. Okay? All right, good. From one of my favorite little websites, Full Spectrum Dominance, with a dash between the full and the spectrum and the dominance.com. This is a little bit disturbing. Listen to this. Should children and incompetent persons be euthanized in Belgium. The AFP has reported that the Belgian legislators are debating extending euthanasia to children. That's extending it. They're already doing it. Primarily newborns with disabilities and incompetent people with Alzheimer's disease or dementia. The AFP article that's titled Belgium Debates Euthanasia for Minors stated that Belgian legislators opened a debate Wednesday on whether to amend a decade-old law on euthanasia to cover minors, being told by experts it was already taking place in practice without any set guidelines. Currently, the law applies to those over 18, but one expert told the Upper House of Parliament it was clear that euthanasia was being carried out on younger people. Quote, "We all know it," said Dominique Biren, head of intensive care at Queen Fabiola Children's University Hospital in Brussels. Faced with this reality, doctors need a legal framework. She was quoted as saying, "It is clear that the guidelines that govern the Belgian euthanasia law, including the prohibition of euthanizing children, are being abused and ignored." And all this clamor off and on about, we need to be more like Europe. It's like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. The Fort Hood shooting suspect trial is set for May 29th. And as all these economic problems just seem to spiral ever downward toward the great porcelain void, climbing student loan delinquencies, pinching the young home buyers there. Talk about jobs that don't even offer so much as a 401k, which many would submit to you that are largely useless anyway. Greece has a promise from the army not to intervene against a civil uprising. I mean, do you see where we're headed here? Maybe. Okay. Drones can detect if a citizen is armed. Yes, it's true. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has customized its Predator drones, originally built for overseas military operations, to carry out at-home surveillance tasks. Civil libertarians are worried, identifying civilians carrying guns, tracking their cell phones, and government documents show all of this. And it's just a wee little bit. It's just a wee little bit worrying. And then there's this thing. Mr. Bill Gates continues his God's work. Third world vaccine workers are just getting shot all to H and dying everywhere that this initiative is being carried out. The February 8th. The UK publication The Guardian reported 9 healthcare workers got just shot dead by gunmen belonging to a radical Islamic sect. So, how's that working for you, Bill? Maybe what you ought to do is mind your own business. But that's probably just me. I'll tell you what, we have a curious case. Yes, it's the curious case of the Curiosity rover. Would you like a little update on this? It's very interesting. Wow, just in time to not get the answer that we were looking for. Let's speak with Richard C. Hoagland in just a moment. Strap in tight. This is going to be a good one. This is Coast to Coast AM. Now, this information is unverified, but all of our intelligence gathering apparatus has indicated that the Vice President himself, Joe Biden, is an avid listener of this program, this particular program, Saturday night program. And, he recently, among other things, he was making comments on firearms and the like, and advising people that women especially to get a shotgun because it kicks far less than an AR-15, which tells me that he's shot neither of them because a shotgun kicks like a mule compared to an AR-15. But anyway, he said if you want to defend yourself and repel an intruder, you just shoot through the door with your shotgun. Well, apparently a Virginia man did that, and the would-be intruder got away, and he was arrested for reckless conduct with a firearm. But I think what's happened here, bless his heart, is that, I use that expression, fire a shotgun out the back door, all the time. And I think Vice President Joe took it to mean fire the shotgun through the back door. It's like, no. Out the back door, not through the back door. I'm sorry. I'll try and be more clear in future. Richard C. Hoagland, are you standing by to take us away?
I am here.
Well, what's going on with Curiosity and what's going on with you? What's up? There's a glitch, a ghost in the machine. Something's up.
There's several. Let's see, where to begin? This is such a complex tale with such an important punchline.
Okay.
Last time we were on, we were talking about physics.
Yes.
And my expedition to Chichen Itza and the James Bond kind of stuff that went down as I was trying to get readings. Well, since then, I've obviously been looking in parallel with the data coming back from the Curiosity mission. We did a show where we discussed images, and I sent you some.
Yep.
And there's junk the only way to describe it is there's junk all over the place.
Yes.
When Curiosity landed, which was last August, and NASA, in their infinite wisdom, that's a tongue-in-cheek reference,
we know that,
named the landing site Bradbury Landing. By the way, did you see them honor Ray at the Academy Awards?
Yes, I did.
That was very, very appropriate.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, they drove away, and instead of heading toward this mountain that we've all been hearing about in Gale Crater, Mount Sharp, they went in almost the opposite direction for a little over 600, 700 meters to a place they've called Yellowknife, which is named after a geological region in northern Canada, which apparently has all kinds of really cool rocks for geologists, so they're kind of in love with the place, and they've transported that name to Mars.
Yes.
And for the last 7 months, well, maybe 6 if you don't count the drive time to get there, they've been prowling around doing reconnaissance, taking endless color panorama pictures of rocks, Martian rocks covered with, dust, orangish dust everywhere, and looking at all kinds of things that are totally mind-blowing if you're any kind of a conscious person from the neck up. I mean, you can't look at this stuff. John, you saw the images. Doesn't it look like mangled junk?
Well, yes, those objects are clearly not naturally occurring.
Now, you would think on a mission which says we're being driven by discovery. Is that a plug for the credit card?
Why not?
And it's called Curiosity.
For the channel.
I have never seen less curiosity exhibited by a group of scientists in my entire career. They have driven past anomaly after anomaly and stunning discovery after stunning discovery. And it's all been like, what the heck is going on? They've taken months to do things which could have been done in basically days. Now, that's the first red flag. What would you suspect, John, if your space agency says it's going to take a month to analyze one little, drill sample of rock?
I would say they've got their hands full with something else.
Exactly. It's a cover. The reason it's taking so long is because they're doing everything else, not taking pictures of it and sending them to us. So it takes them a month to do the intended task because they need that carve-out, that cutout time to do the secret mission, which is the real mission of Curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat, Satisfaction brought him back.
Yeah.
So we've been waiting and waiting and waiting because the first drill sample from inside a Martian rock was supposed to, be done, a few days ago.
Yes.
And then they put it in the little hoppers to take it into the instruments inside the spacecraft. And they did an analysis. An old friend of mine, Craig Kowalt, reported on Wednesday. I'm not sure when the slug line is. Let me see if I can go find it. Wednesday at 1:24 p.m. Wednesday afternoon, he reports, and is an excellent reporter. He used to be with Aviation Week, premier space reporter, and he has a detailed story written on spacereference.com about the analysis of this first rock sample, which could be a big deal because the scientists, when they were looking at the drilling, they all said, what in the world is that? For one thing, it's gray. It's not red. For another thing, it has incredibly fine particles, so it's made up of something that's really, really, really fine when it was, liquid like a sediment, and then it congealed into a rock millions and maybe billions of years ago. And so when you get stuff out of the center of one of these things, you're getting pristine material that hasn't been contaminated for maybe 2, 3, 4 billion years. So the rock itself is called a mudstone, which is not a type of rock. It's a type of formation of rock. You know, all kind of different chemistries lumped under the general heading mudstone. But the identification is a very soft material to drill into. And it was formed in water, lots and lots of water. The perfect environment to retain and preserve carbon materials, organic materials. What they're looking for. Was there a former epoch on Mars? This is, again, mainstream perspective. Was there an epoch billions of years ago when Mars was conducive to life, brought forth life, and then buried it in the sediments to be turned into rock to be analyzed billions of years later by this little gadget called Curiosity? Well, the literal day, the morning that they're going to send this data back, courtesy of my friend Craig and his reporting, that's the day, that morning, when for some reason, we're told by JPL, Curiosity did not send its daily downlink of data to NASA. First big, huge glitch in 7 months. Mm-hmm. And the soap opera unfolds that it's stuck on a computer loop. When they realize this, they send emergency commands. This takes us into like Thursday, Friday. They switch from the prime computer that was doing the weird stuff to a backup. Backup says, reporting for duty, sir, and promptly signs off the air. Puts the whole damn thing in what's called safe mode, which basically is the electronic equivalent of being an armadillo and curling up into your shell.
Sure, hit the pause button.
Yep. So that's where we stand. And the critical rock sample, which will tell us, again, in the mainstream model, if Mars was habitable in this location with lots of water and maybe even organic materials in this first analysis, that is stuck in the analyzers in Curiosity, and because the computer has gone haywire, both of them, it can't radio the data home.
You know, Richard, I know you don't know, and certainly I don't. It's just a question, but the governments of various countries that are capable of launching anything, you know, that might hold together in outer space, do you have anything that suggests that there have been, looking at all this debris, I mean, some of it looks like remnants of some of the suits and craft that might have appeared in an Ed Wood movie back in the day. Do we have anything to suggest that there have been black operations? Is it possible for any of these space agencies around the world to mount missions to other planets and the public never hear about it? And do we think that it might be possible that some of these things might have failed, and that's some of the debris that we're seeing?
Well, all right, the first problem with that hypothesis is, why would they all go to the same place? Mars is a planet equivalent to all the continent areas on Earth combined. Millions of square miles. The idea that everybody would go, because the amount of junk we're seeing is so significant that it's got to be a large technical complex that was smashed into debris.
My way back, gotta find my swampy home. Gotta find my way back to the swamp where I belong. Been gone such a long time. Mama, I'm coming home. Been gone such a long time. Mama, I'm coming home. Gotta find my way back. Gotta find my Louisiana home. Gotta find my way back, way down south where I belong. Been 10 years in prison. Mama, I'm coming home. Where the bodies in the swamp were hidden. Mama, I'm coming home. No, I took the money. I took the money and I hid it good. No, I took the money, buried it deep out in them woods. 10 years in prison. Mama, I'm coming home. Where the bodies in the swamp are hidden. Mama, I'm coming home. Gotta find my way back. Gotta find my swampy home. Gotta find my way back. Deep in the swamp where I belong. Man, gone such a long time. Mama, I'm coming home. Been gone such a long time. Mama, I'm coming home. Oh yeah. Get that crawfish pie ready, Mama. And that gilly gumbo. You don't know what I've been eating.